Audio check lang po. Good morning, everyone. Pa-thumbs up naman po or pa-heart kung naririnig niyo ako loud and clear. Parang nababal. Pwede bang alisin mo itong face shield? Hello, good morning.
Good morning po.
Good morning po.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning po. Ayan, para po sa mga nasa ating Zoom virtual room. Sa ating virtual room, you may now fill out the attendance sheet. So ipa-flash natin na link, attendance link sa ating chat box. So we already have over 100 participants on board. Pa-attendance na lang muna po sa ating link. Thank you. Also, you may invite your friends or kahit sino po to watch our orientation via Facebook Live. Online activity reminders lang po for participants. You're advised to remain using the format na naka-flash po sa ating screen. Ayan, office or LGU/position/full name. Halimbawa, DILG MLGO 1 de la Cruz, San Fernando City, or Punong Barangay Juan de la Cruz. All participants are muted so as not to capture background noises. And for our questions, let's use the chat box. And this will prompt our secretariat should you wish to say something. Kung meron po tayong concerns and issues, dun po natin i-type sa chat box. This activity will be recorded for documentation purposes, and all presentation materials will be shared to the participants. Naka-flash po ang ating address or link on our Facebook Live, facebook.com/DILG Region 1.
Recording in progress.
May we also remind the participants to please mute your microphones. At kung may mga katanungan po, again, i-type nyo lang po later on sa chat. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Please stand for our opening prayer and singing of the Philippine National Anthem.
Our most gracious and loving Father in heaven, we thank you, Lord, for this new day and for the blessings you've been showering upon us all. We thank you, Lord, for this opportunity and for the presence of the participating agencies, our local government officials and functionaries, as well as our DILG heads, field officers, and staff, as we are once again gathered online for another learning experience. May you stay in our midst, Lord, and give us the patience and understanding to absorb all the information on the preparation of our devolution transition plans, which will serve as blueprints in improving the delivery of basic services to the public. Bless our resources speakers, our training management and support staff who dedicated their time and efforts to make this activity possible. Lord, teach us to encourage one another that we may stay passionate in doing our jobs. May you always remind us how fortunate we are to be working with the government, as this is a venue to serve you through serving people. We take this opportunity also, Father, to pray for our family members, office mates, and friends who are suffering from physical and emotional pain. May you always stay by their side and give them the comfort and healing that they need. Lord, forgive us from our sins as we forgive those who sin against us. Be with us throughout the day and protect us from any harm and danger. All these we ask in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Please be seated. Again, good morning and welcome to our regional orientation on the preparation of local government unit devolution transition plan. I am Alithia Anagesedo, Planning and Information Officer of DILG Region 1, and I will be your facilitator for today. We would like to acknowledge the presence of the following, starting, of course, with our very own DILG Region 1 Regional Director, Ma'am Julie J. Dakiwag, together with our Assistant Regional Director, Ma'am Agnes De Leon, our Division Chiefs, Assistant Division Chiefs, focal persons, and training staff. We'd like also to acknowledge the presence of Regional Director Ria Bansigan and her staff of the Department of Budget and Management, Assistant Regional Director of DENR, Ma'am Ledwina Esco, representatives and resource speakers from the following national agencies: the Department of Social Welfare and Development, Department of Agriculture, Department of Health, Department of Environment and Natural Resources, Department of Public Works and Highways, and the Bureau of Local Government Finance. Also, we acknowledge the presence of our focal persons, program managers, CMLGOOs, cluster leaders from the DILG provincial offices headed by the following provincial directors. From DILG Ilocos Norte, we have Sir Roger Dakiwag, DILG Ilocos Sur, Sir Randy De La Rosa, DILG La Union, Sir Virgilio Sison, and DILG Pangasinan, Sir Paulino Lalata Jr. And of course, we will be joined by our local chief executives and members of the local devolution transition committees from the 125 cities, municipalities of Ilocos region, headed by our honorable governors and vice governors. From Ilocos Norte, we have Honorable Governor Matthew Marcos Manotoc and Vice Governor Cecil Araneta Marcos. From Ilocos Sur Province, Honorable Governor Ryan Luis Singson and Vice Governor Jeremiah C. Singson. From the province of La Union, we have Honorable Governor Francisco Emmanuel Pacoy Ortega III and Vice Governor Mario Eduardo Ortega. And from the province of Pangasinan, Honorable Governor Amado Espino III and Vice Governor Mark Ronald Lambino. And to everyone who joined us via Facebook Live, magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. And now, may we listen to the opening remarks of our dear Regional Director of DILG Region 1, the ever-supportive and charming Ma'am Julie Dakiwag. Good morning, ma'am.
Thank you, Alip. Good morning, everyone. May echo. Magandang umaga sa ating lahat, Region 1. As we and everybody's acknowledged sa presentation ni Alip, I will not repeat anymore greeting everyone, pero gusto kong ipabatid sa ating lahat na dahil tayo'y pinagdidiwang ang buwan ng wika ay gusto kong magbigay ng panimulang mensahe sa ating lahat sa wika natin Filipino. So, magandang umaga at napakapayapang umaga ngayong araw na to dahil ang araw na to ay ibinigay ng ating poong may kapal para tayo'y magtipon-tipon ulit sa isang napakahalagang pagtitipon at meron tayong napakahalagang gagawin para sa serbisyo sa ating mga bayan-bayan, mga lalawigan hanggang sa ating barangays. Kaya nandito tayong lahat. Ang sinasabi natin na ang regional orientation ng Executive Order 138 o sinasabi natin na full devolution of certain functions of the executive branch to local governments, creation of the Committee on Devolution and others. Ito'y mandato na binigay sa atin ng national government, of course. Noong Hunyo 1 sa taong kasalukuyan ay tibay ng ating Pangulo ang Executive Order bilang 138. At sa Section 10 na to ay sinasabi dito na lahat ng mga local government units ay kailangan bumuo at maghanda ng sinasabi natin Devolution Transition Plan para ito'y mapaghandaan at maiplano, maihanda ang mga local government units sa pagtupad ng mga probisyon na sinasabi ng ating Executive Order 138. Kaya po, napakahalaga po ang araw na ito dahil sa buong Region 1 ay gagawin natin ang isang pagtitipon na kung saan tayo'y mag-usap-usap kasama ang ating mga national government agencies, ang ating local government units, stakeholders, lahat po ng civil society organizations, ng government organizations involved, ay buo tayo na mag-usap-usap at gawin ang isang pag-aaral tungkol sa paghanda at paggawa ng ating devolution transition plan. So, ang ating mga devolution 14 na mabubuo ang ating mga devolution transition committee nagaganapan at bubuuin mula sa provincial level, sa city, municipal at barangay level ay kailangan talagang pag-usapan natin. Pero bago tayo gagawa ng isang devolution transition plan, nagaganap itong regional orientation para matuto tayo ano ba yung mga step by step na gagawin natin bago tayo pupunta sa unveiled actual na workshops sa mga probinsya, sa mga cities, municipalities, and barangays. Kaya napakalaki po ang challenge na to sa atin because ito ay sinasabi nating milestone. Napakalaking milestone sa local government units. Ito ay pagsasabi na ang full devolution of certain functions of executive branch to local governments. Ano ba itong mga ito? Lahat ba gagawin natin sa first year, unang taon sa 2021 o sa 2022, 23 o 24? Ano dapat gawin natin? Ito ba'y buong buo or gagawin natin na step by step? So tuturuan tayo ngayon na ihanda ang mga local government units na ayusin ang paggawa natin ng devolution transition plan. Igano mo, devolution transition plan. I-off mo. Tapos,
Our apologies po, we're having a little technical problem, pero inaayos na po. So dahil buwan ng wika po ngayon, kailangan po tayong magsalita ng Tagalog. Baka mamemuhan ako, nag-English ako kanina. Pero nakaka-nosebleed pala, mas nakaka-nosebleed pala ang mag-Tagalog. Yan po, habang hinihintay po natin ang ating pinakamamahal na regional director. Maari po ba nating i-type sa chat box kung ano ang devolution transition plan sa salitang Pilipino? So lahat tayo excited na dito sa magiging milestone po para sa mga local government units. Kung sino po ang makakapag-translate ng Devolution Transition Plan sa Filipino, meron po siyang premyo mula kay ARD Agnes daw. Okay, ready na daw po ang ating regional director. Paki-unmute na, sir. Ma'am Julie.
Sandali na lang. Ayan. Alet.
Welcome back, Ma'am Julie. Narinig na po namin.
Ito yung problema natin sa high-tech. Anyway, so ipagpatuloy ko po sa ating mga kaloko, sa ating mga nandito ngayon, mga pinagtititagang nating mga bumubuo ng sinasabi nating Devolution Transition Committee mula sa level ng probinsya, syudad, bayan at mga barangay. Ito ay regional orientation na dahil nangyari na at naganap na ang sinasabi natin national orientation kung saan may mga piling regional at provincial coaches na tutulong sa atin mga probinsya, city, municipalities and barangays na kung saan gaganapin ang sinasabi nating mga workshops, pagtitipon para magawa natin ang sinasabing Devolution Transition Plan na pinapahayag sa ating Executive Order 138 kung saan yung full devolution of certain functions of the executive branches to local governments. Ito ay napakahalaga dahil tutulong sa atin sa pagbigay ng liwanag, pagbigay ng tamang daan na ating susuorin sa darating na 2022, 23, and 24. So ang ating mga national government agencies na nandito ngayon at ang ating mga kasama sa Committee on Devolution ay lahat ay nagtipon-tipon ngayon upang mabigyan tayo ng kaliwanagan tungkol sa ating gagawin dahil ito'y napakalaki at napakalaking challenge sa ating lahat dahil ito'y bago sa atin. Ang ating Executive Order 138 ay napaka-bago sa atin at isa-isa tayong step by step na sinasabi natin na matuto sa mga gagawin natin. Kaya po, inaanyayahan namin kayong lahat na i-enjoy lang natin at i-endure. Hindi ko na alam yung Tagalog na enjoy, pero enjoy natin yung maghapon natin. Alam namin na hindi po kasya. Kailangan natin ng extension siguro ng ilang mga minutos, oras, mamaya dahil gusto natin na lahat po ay maintindihan paano natin gagawin, ipaghanda ang sinasabi nating devolution transition plan ng isang probinsya, syudad, munisipyo at sa barangay. So may mga pagkakaiba ba? May mga dapat gawin ba ng barangay na hindi dapat ginagampanan sa ibang level ng ating gobyerno. So ito ay sinasabi ko kanina sa unang salita ko na ito ay milestone. Sinasabi natin na napakalagang milestone in terms of local governance. First time na mangyayari sa atin ito. Though the devolved services as provided for in Section 17 of the Local Government Code of 1991, nandun na yung mga devolved services na dapat ginagampanan na ng ating mga bayan-bayan, ng ating mga local government units. Ngayon, tingnan natin kung paano natin maisasakatuparan ngayon yung sinasabing ng 138, ng Executive 138, na full devolution of certain functions, services, and facilities from the executive branch, national government, to the local government units. Kaya po, napakasaya namin ngayon at sa buong rehiyon, at as of the moment ay meron na tayong 670 na mga kalahok dito sa ating regional orientation at kami nagsisiyahan na pagkatapos nito at umaasa na pagkatapos ng ating regional orientation ay magkakaroon tayo ng mas detalyadong pagtitipon, mas detalyadong pag-uusap tungkol sa Devolution Transition Plan paghahanda sa mga provincial workshops, municipal city workshops, and the like, because we will be having vertical linkages and agreements, of course, kasi yung probinsya, they will be presenting the DTPs to the component barangay, component municipalities and city and so on. The municipalities will also be doing and presenting this vertical linkage to the all members of the barangay. So kailangan ng magandang pag-uusap, magkakaintindihan lahat ng mga levels sa probinsya, sa city, barangay, municipalities, and the like para maganda yung ating pagpapatupad ng ating mga devolution transition plan. At sana yung mga magawa natin ay talagang maisakatuparan. We will be implementing what's mandated by law, ano yung kaya ng munisipyo, kaya ng ating pondo, at within the ambit, of course, of EO 138. Kaya nga, andito lahat ng ating mga partner agencies, national government agencies, na magsasalita ngayon, magsasabi ano yung mga i-devolve na functions from them to the local government units at paano din gagawin ng pagsalo ng ating local government units sa mga devolved na activities nito. Kaya napakahalaga ngayong araw na to sa regional orientation dahil pagbaba sa barangay, pagbaba sa bayan, pagbaba sa probinsya, on-site, actual na po yung gagawin natin na workshop. Kaya the Department of Kagawaran ng Interior at Pamahalang Lokal na kasama namin ang ating Department of Budget and Management at iba pang mga national government agencies sa COMDER, Committee on Devolution, at lahat ng national government agencies involved ay taus-puso kaming nagpapasalamat sa pagdating ninyo ngayon sa ating webinar at sa ating regional orientation on the preparation of LGU Devolution Transition Plan. At sa lahat ngayon na nandito, sana po we encourage everyone to clarify things. Of course, I know Region 1 will always clarify things so that we can have a one thinking, one understanding on how we will gonna prepare our devolution transition plan. At sana pag-igihan natin ito dahil ito'y para sa ating mga kababayan. Ang Executive Order 138 na to ay talagang para sa ating mga minamahal na kababayan at sana'y lahat ng mga plano na ilalagay natin ay pagtuunan natin ng pansin, pag-isipan natin na mabuti na ito'y makakatulong talaga sa ating mga kababayan. Wala tayong ibang gagawin kundi tulungan ang ating mga pamahalaang lokal, ang ating mga bayan-bayan, probinsya, syudad at mga barangay. So sa ating lahat na nandito, maraming salamat galing po sa Kagawaran ng Interior at Pamahalaang Lokal. Magandang umaga sa ating lahat. Magandang umaga, Region 1. Maraming salamat.
Maraming salamat po, Ma'am Julie, sa iyong mensahe. At kami po ay nagagalak dahil sa lahat, halos sa lahat ng ating mga aktibidades sa DILG ay naroon po kayo para sumuporta. Yan, Tagalog tayo. Okay po, ang susunod na parte ng ating programa ay ang pangkalahatang ideya or overview ng ating regional orientation. Tinatawagan po natin ang ating LGU4, si Sir Michael Casinia, ng ating local government Capacity Development Division para sa overview po. Sir Mike? Also, Sir Mike is our regional focal person for the implementation of the Mandanas-Garcia ruling.
So, good morning po sa ating lahat at maraming salamat po, Ma'am Alet. So, my task is to present to you yung simple overview lang po of this one-day regional orientation. So this is to walk you through kung ano po yung mangyayari ngayong araw po na to. So the objectives of this one-day activities is to apprise or to inform the provincial, city, and municipal participants. And by participants po, we mean yung members po ng ating Devolution Transition Committee. So alam po natin under executive order, especially yung guidelines po ng ating executive order, meron po dapat mabubuong o ma-organize na devolution transition committees sa lahat ng local government levels. So to inform them regarding sa prescribed components po ng devolution transition plan, yung processes and mechanisms po for the preparations of their LGU DTPs. So aside from that, the second objective of this regional orientation is to orient our participants in filling out yung necessary forms po ng LGU DTPs. So kung ano-ano po yung mga forms po na yun, so i-discuss po natin mamaya. And the last objective of this one-day activity is to orient or capacitate our city, municipal, local government operations officer, or CMLGOs, to support the DILG Provincial Devolution Core Team. So under the guidance po, DILG unnumbered memorandum, dated August 5, meron pong mabubuong DILG Provincial Devolution Core Team sa bawat provinces. So sino-sino po yung bumubuo po ng Devolution Core Team? So sina Provincial Director, sina Program Manager at ang ating Cluster Leader. So sila po yung bumubuo ng ating Provincial Devolution Core Team. So aside from that, our city, municipal, local government operations officer will also provide coaching assistance for the development of the city, municipal devolution transition plans ng kanilang mga cities and municipalities. Of course, this is in a coordination with the Provincial Devolution Core Team. And then our CMLGOs will assist the barangay devolution transition committees in the preparation naman po ng kanilang sariling devolution transition plan. So this is our schedule of activities. So currently, nasa program overview po tayo. So our regional orientation is divided into 3 sessions. So session 1 will focus on the roles of our LGUs under Executive Order number 138 Series 2021. So of course, magsisimula po tayo sa discussion regarding Supreme Court ruling and the EO number 138. So aside from that, i-discuss din po natin yung key messaging and branding po ng ating department's communications plan strategy. So next will be the updating of the capacity development agenda of our local government units. So kinakailangan po nating i-discuss yung capacity development agenda process for the updating po ng capacity development agenda ng ating LGUs. And lastly, under section 1, we also need to discuss yung guidelines po on the preparation of devolution transition plans of our local government units. Okay, so under session 2, this refers to the components of the local government unit devolution transition plan. So alam po natin under Executive Order number 138, so LGUs are directed to formulate their own local government devolution transition plan to effectively transition them for full devolution. So as early as next year, 2022, up until not later than 2024. So yun po yung full devolution transition period po natin. So the components of the LGU devolution transition plan are the state of devolved functions and services and facilities, facing a full assumption, capacity development agenda for DTPs, so ito po yung updated, and the updating of the organizational structure and staffing pattern, performance target for devolved functions and services, and yung local revenue forecast and resource mobilization. So ito po yung 6 na component po ng ating LGU devolution transition plan. So after that discussion, magkakaroon po tayo ng presentation from the DLGF regarding sa revenue estimates of local government units from 2022 to 2024. So magkano ba talaga ang mapupunta sa mga local government units natin because of the Mandanas ruling. And the last session, So we have invited our regional partners from the regional offices of the concerned national government agencies who are also members po ng Devolution Committee or DevCom ng Region 1. So we have invited DSWD, DA, Department of Agriculture, Department of Health, Department of Environment and Natural Resources, and DPWH to present their own devolution transition plan. So we are just going to remind po na hindi po ito yung final na devolution transition plan ng ating inanyayaang mga national government agencies because they are still in the process of ongoing po yung process ng pag-formulate po nila ng kanilang devolution transition plan. So after that, we will be having a simple synthesis of this one-day regional orientation before the closing ceremony. So yun po. So we will have a long day ahead of us. So hopefully po, this will be a very fruitful day. So to all our participants, so do stay with us. Maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat, Sir Mike, for the regional orientation overview. Ayan po, so excited na po yata tayong lahat. Umpisahan na natin ang ating first topic under session 1. Ang ating first speaker is a very good friend of mine na kahit yata natutulog na po ay kabisado na ang Executive Order 138. So her topic is the SC ruling and EO 138, an overview. Let us welcome the very beautiful Regional Director of Department of Budget and Management, Regional Director Ria Bansigan. Magandang umaga, friendship.
Maraming salamat, kaibigan Alet. Ayan, magtagalog tayo ngayon, buwan ng wika. So, magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Ako po ay nagagalak na sa oras na ito, meron na po tayong 772 participants. Nagpapakita lamang ng pagsuporta at interes ng bawat isa sa atin sa ating gawain sa araw na ito na ito naman po ay para sa kabutihan ng ating mga lokalidad at ng ating mga constituents sa ating mga lokalidad. So magandang umaga sa ating butihing direktor ng DILG and the Assistant Regional Director and also the staff of the DILG na sila po ang punong abala ngayon sa napakahalagang gawain natin sa araw na ito. Gusto ko rin pong batiin ng magandang umaga ang ating mga partners sa mga national government agencies na ngayon ay magsasalita at mag-i-inform sa atin sa mga plano po nila sa kanilang mga ahensya na kanilang i-devolve sa mga local government units. And also, most importantly, I would like to greet everyone from the local government units who are with us this morning. Kami po ay umaasa na ang gawain natin ngayong araw na ito ay mag-i-strengthen ng inyong mga kaalaman tungkol sa devolution of certain functions to local government units from the NGAs. And friendship, pasensya na, I was not able to inform you in advance. Hindi po ako ang magdi-discuss this morning. Meron po kaming mas magaling pa na staff po dito sa DBM. Isang budding public speaker namin dito sa DBM na siya po ang ating inatasan na mag-discuss ngayon at magturo sa ating mga local government units sa mga dapat po nilang malaman. So may I now call on our technical staff, Ms. Krista N. Mendoza, to present and discuss with us this morning the overview of the Mandanas ruling and the EO 138. So muli, magandang umaga po at kami po ay nandito lamang Kung ano man po ang mga clarifications na gusto po ninyong i-raise, please don't hesitate. Sabi nga po ng ating napakagandang MC ngayon, use the chat box and we will surely get back at you po. So muli, maraming salamat.
Maraming salamat, kaibigang Regional Director, Ma'am Ria Bansigan. So we will have our presenter, Ma'am Christy, tama po ba? For our first topic, the SC ruling and EO 138 overview. Magandang umaga, Ma'am.
Hello ma'am, good morning po sa ating lahat. I hope okay po ang sound po ng or ang bato po ng ang aking mic sa inyong lahat. Naririnig po ba ma'am?
Loud and clear, ma'am.
Loud and clear. May ask po na pwede po ba akong mapayagang mag-share po ng aking slide? Ayan. So, nakikita na po ba nating lahat ang aking screen? Yes po ba? Hello, ma'am. Hello po. Naputol po ba ako, ma'am? So, pa-thumbs up na lang po ako kung nakikita po natin ang ating screen, kung nakikita po natin ang shinare ko na PowerPoint. So ayan, so nag-thumbs up na po sila sa ating mga facilitator. So for our first session, una po nating i-discuss or magbabalik tanaw po tayo. Saan po ba nagmula itong Executive Order number 138? Bakit po tayo nagkaroon ng full devolution? So first, nanggaling po ito sa implementation po ng Supreme Court decision po ng ating Mandanas Garcia case. So next. So originally, ang tawag po sa ating natatanggap na just share po ng ating mga LGUs is previously called po na Internal Revenue Allotment. So ito po ang LGUs na just share po as determined po ng ating batas. So ito po ang share nila from the national taxes which shall be automatically released to them. So ito po ay nasasaad po sa ating local government code under section 3D po. So makikita po natin dyan. So ang shares po ng ating LGUs is composed of 40% po ng ating national internal revenue taxes. So ito po yung previous. So kaya sinabi na dating era. So ito po ay based from the collection po ng third fiscal year preceding the current fiscal year na binibigay. So for example po, noong 2020, ang IRA po ng ating mga LGUs ay nanggaling po sa 2017 collections. So for the 2022 collections naman po or ang magiging national tax allocation na po ng ating mga LGUs for next year will be coming from the collections po noong FY 2019. So ito po makikita po natin sa ating right side kung ano po ba ang allocation ng national government and the LGU shares. So 40% po is given to the internal revenue allotment and mapupunta naman po ang 60% sa ating national government. So sabi po ng ating Supreme Court by the petition of our Governor Mandanas and the late Bataan Governor Garcia, the Supreme Court ruled that the just share of LGUs from the national taxes is not limited po sa ating national internal revenue taxes na kinokolekta po ng ating BIR or Bureau of Internal Revenue. Pero dapat po kasama rin ho sa computation natin ang collections po ng ating Bureau of Customs, namely the custom duties. So makikita po natin sa ating pie graph sa baba, before and after na Mandanas ruling. So sa ating left side, andito po ang kabuuan ng ating national taxes. So dati, ang bigger share po ng national taxes ang pinaghahatian po ng ating LGUs and the national government. So yung pilot po na part, dyan po nanggagaling or yan po yung basis dati ng ating computation sa ating LGU shares. Pero after po ng SC ruling, ang mangyayari na po, lahat po ng national taxes, yan po ang magiging basis po ng ating computation for our national tax allotment. So I think sana po hindi po tayo nalilito dito. So marami pong excited actually ng mga LGUs. Wow, pinakihintay po natin na pag-increase ng ating hindi na IRA kundi NATA, sabi nga po nila. So only an overview, makikita po natin dito ang IRA computation po per LGU level. So for provinces, ang maghahati-hati po dyan is 82 na provinces. Pero actually, we only have 81 provinces in the Philippines. Pero kasama po sa ating computation ang ating MMDA or the Metro Manila Development Authority, which receives IRA like that of a province. So meron po silang percentage allocation sa ating share, the amount of 23%. Then ang maghahati-hati naman po na cities is composed of 146 cities, which also has the same percentage allocation of that of the provinces. And ito naman po ang ating 1,488 municipalities which share the most or the biggest part in the pie chart natin po. And last but not the least, meron din pong shares ang ating 41,931 barangays which will eat 20% allocation po ng ating total allocation. So with that, ang maghahati-hati po sa ating 40% share sa ating national taxes will be comprised of 43,647 LGUs. And then next, so after consultation po with our LGUs by their respective leagues, nag-come up po tayo, ano po ba ang dapat natin gawin sa naging decision po ng ating Supreme Court. So ang napagkasunduan po ng ating NGs and ating mga LGUs ay magkaroon po tayo ng full devolution as a measure po to mitigate the fiscal impact of the Mandanas ruling. So dahil po sa ating Mandanas ruling, tataas po ang shares ng ating mga LGUs and bababa naman po ang resources ng ating national government. So ano po bang dapat gawin? So ang sabi nila, magkakaroon na lang po tayo ng full devolution. So as a briefer lang po, sabi po sa ating Section 17 ng ating Local Government Code, minamandato po ang ating mga LGUs na meron po tayong devolution of basic services and facilities to LGUs. So sa ating Section 17 po, naka-identify po dyan per LGU. Andyan po ang barangay level, city level, municipality level, and provincial level. Kung ano-ano po ba yung mga basic services and facilities na dapat pong i-implement or i-provide ng ating mga LGUs. However, diba pansin po natin, marami pa rin po tayong mga national agencies or NGAs na nagko-continue po na nagpo-provide ng mga basic services and facilities na po ito. So nagkakaroon po ng duplication in functions and services. So para po ma-achieve natin ang fiscal sustainability, sabi nila, the devolved functions must permanently be taken out from the NGAs para po ma-empower or ma-fully assume na po ng mga ating mga LGUs ang mga functions and services na po ito. So kalaki po ng pag-increase ng ating LGU share, siyempre, nandyan din po asahan natin ang pagdami rin po ng ating functions and services or facilities na dapat pong i-provide or implement sa ating mga constituents. So, after arriving at the said action po towards the SC ruling, nagkaroon po tayo ng Executive Order number 138, last na napirmahan po noong June 1, 2021, ito po ang full devolution of certain functions. So hindi po lahat. Certain functions of the executive branch to local governments. Actually, hindi na po bago sa atin ang devolution. I think in 1991, nagkaroon na po tayo ng initial devolution pero hindi pa po lahat is na-absorb ng ating local governments. So next. Ano po ba ang mga salient features ng ating Executive Order number 138? I believe nung last local budget forum po noong 2020. Ito pong draft EO is already initially introduced po sa ating mga LGU. So ang iba po dito is siguro mga refresher na lang po or parang para ma-update natin ang mga sarili natin or baka kasing iba po nakalimutan na nila. Okay, so we have 8 salient features, namely, andito po ang delineation of national government and local government unit roles. So ano po ba ang mga dapat gagawin ng ating mga national government agencies and ano rin po ba ang magiging role ng ating mga LGUs. And then ito po ang magiging meat ng ating discussion for today's orientation. Ito po ang highlight, which is the preparation po ng ating devolution transition plans. So hindi lang po ito solo ng ating mga LGUs, kundi meron din pong counterpart ng ating mga national government agencies. Then next, as mentioned po ng ating DILG Regional Director po, magkakaroon po tayo ng Committee on Devolution. So last week, ang ating ComDev sa ating regional level has already initially meet, kaya meron na po kaya nagkaroon po tayo ng regional rollout dito po sa ating region. And then next, isang bago pong introduction ng ating national government, which is the establishment of the Growth Equity Fund. So mamaya malalaman po natin in detail kung ano po ba itong Growth Equity Fund na po ba ito. And then next, very important po dahil magkakaroon na tayo ng fully assumption or ng ating mga LGUs sa mga function services and other facilities, kailangan po ng ating LGUs ng capacity building. So dahil ang iba sa atin is hindi pa ganun kagamay ang ibang mga functions, kailangan po ng assistance ng ating respective NGAs to our LGUs. And then also, na-identify din po sa ating executive order kung ano po ba ang mga roles ng ating LGUs pagdating po dito sa ating executive order number 138. And also, we have the strengthening of planning, investment programming, and budgeting linkage, and the institutionalization of the monitoring and evaluation system. So sa implementation po kasi hindi pwedeng ini-implement lang po natin pero hindi na po natin kinikip track ang ating mga programs, projects, and activities. So this is also a venue para po mas mapalawig pa po natin ang paggamit ng ating M&E systems. And also, last but not the least, since magkakaroon po tayo ng devolution, meron din po tayong mga affected personnel na magkakaroon po ng 3 options, namely, pwede po silang mag-transfer sa other units ng kanilang within the same agency. And then next, pwede rin po mag-transfer ang ating mga affected personnel sa mga other departments, agencies, or instrumentalities. And last but not the least, pwede rin po nilang piliin ang mag-retiro or mag-separate na po sa kanilang agency. And also, pwede rin po nilang piliin na lumipat po sa ating mga LGUs with the discretion po ng ating LGU kung tatanggapin po nila ang ating mga affected personnel, pero ito po ay magiging new entry na po. So hindi na po siya considered na transfer kundi new entry na po sa ating LGUs. And then next, so according to section 1 po ng ating EO 138, so the national government is committed to the policy of decentralization, which is aimed at developing capabilities of local governments to deliver basic services and facilities. So dahil po dito sa ating EO 138, mas lalo pong na-empower ang ating mga LGUs para magkaroon ng fiscal autonomy. Also, it ensures accountability, competence, professionalism, and transparency of local leaders. So at the local government level, mas lalo po tayong nasi-strengthen ang ating capabilities, ang capacities dahil ito sa ating implementation ng EO 138. And then next, so we also have 4 guiding principles, namely, the role of the national government is to set the national policy, development strategy, and service delivery standards, and assist and oversee and supervise the LGU. So hindi naman tayo hahayaan basta-basta po ng ating national government. So nandito po sila para po mag-set ng national policy, which will be our guide also in the crafting ng ating mga DTPs. They will also be developing strategies on how they will conduct capacity development sa ating mga LGUs para mas mapagpatibay pa po ang mga functions sa facilities, mas mapaganda pa po ang operations ng ating mga LGUs. Then second, we have the devolution of basic services and facilities to the LGUs and the determination of functional assignments between and among two different levels of government. So it shall be guided by three aspects po, which is public services with little or no benefits spillover are best administered po ng ating mga local governments. While public services naman po na with significant interjurisdictional externalities or benefit and cost spillovers are best assigned naman po sa ating higher governments like the provinces. Then also, we have the provision of public goods and services that involve economies of scale is best assigned to higher levels of government. So ito yung parang kumbaga cheaper by the dozen. Kaya mas maganda kung ang implementation po nito is sa ating higher level of government. And lastly, we have the functions related to the redistributive role of government should be assigned to the national government. And then third, so the national government in close coordination with the LGU. So ito po, ina-highlight ko ito kasi ulit-ulit po ito sa ating EO. Dapat po ang ating national government or ang ating LGUs should have close coordination. So hindi po tayo mag-isa lang dito, hindi lang po NGAs ang gagalaw, hindi lang po LGUs. So they shall formulate and pursue an institutional development program. So para ko mag-iisa lang ho ang direction natin towards the development po ng ating bansa. And last but not the least, so any ambiguity or confusion as to the interpretation shall be resolved and interpreted in favor po ng devolution. So mamaya malalaman po natin kung bakit tayo nagkaroon ng ComDev. So isa po ito sa mga kasagutan sa ating guiding principle number 4. So next, under sections 3 and 4, the functions, basic services, and facilities which have already been devolved based on Section 17 of the Local Government Code. So as mentioned ko po kanina, hindi na po bago itong devolution since naka-identify na po ito sa ating Local Government Code. So mahaba-habang list po itong Section 17 nito. You may refer na lang po sa kanya-kanyang LGC po nila na hawak. Then next, so local governments shall be primarily and ultimately responsible and accountable for the provision of all basic services and facilities fully devolved to them. So sabi nga nila, with great power comes great responsibility. So dahil tataas na po ang respective shares po ng ating LGU, so comes po ang greater responsibility to implement po such functions, services, and facilities. And this EO shall cover all LGUs and all departments concerned, agencies, and instrumentalities of the executive branch which will devolve functions to the LGUs. Like andito po ang ating DOH, as mentioned po kanina ni dyan po ang DA, DSWD. Kung mapapansin niyo po, sila po ang isa kabilang po sa mga malalaking NGAs po natin. So next. So ito po ang isang sample po ng ating involved na NGA sa ating devolution. So may present po ang overview ng mga submitted NGA DTPs, pero ito po is hindi pa po final. So for the Department of Labor and Employment, we have the National Skills Registration Program. Province and city po ang expected na mag-provide po nito. And also we have the profiling of child laborers, referral, provision of services, and monitoring to remove from child labor. Also, we have an overview of the submitted DTP of the DOH. So, noong July 15 po, if the LGUs can remember, nagkaroon din po kasi ang DBM in coordination po with ALBA. Nag-present po ang 8 sa ating NGAs ng kanilang initial or draft na DTP. So may idea na po siguro sila, kaya nakikita familiar na po ang mga identified function services or PPAs po na for discontinuance ng ating DOH. Like the Health Facilities Enhancement Program, andyan din po ang Epidemiology and Surveillance, and the Human Resources for Health Development. Next, so ito po, ang next na item natin is the preparation of the devolution transition plans. So ano po ba ang contents ng ating DTPs? So on the part of the NGA, the DTP should have identified the devolved functions and services and also the phasing or strategy for the devolution. So itong devolution transition plan is not only good for 1 year, kumbaga hindi naman po ito agad-agad na implement. Since hindi naman po lahat ready ang ating mga LGUs, so it is advised maging phase approach po ang gagawin po sa ating mga respective DTPs. Also with the NGA, since hindi naman po pwedeng bigla-biglaan na lang natin ibababa sa ating mga LGUs. Then also, we should define the service delivery standards, which involves magkano po ba ang minimum cost or ano po ba ang minimum quantity or minimum quality sa pag-implement po ng ganitong certain function or PPAs. And also, the NGA's DTP should contain the capacity development strategy for LGUs and NGAs. So dito po makikita kung ano po ba ang role ng ating NGAs on the part of capacity development and ano po ang inaasahan ng ating mga LGUs pagdating po sa ating CapDev strategy. Also, ating reiterate ang framework po for ating monitoring and performance assessment of LGUs. So kung hindi po ako nagkakamali, andyan naman po mga iba't ibang performance assessment tools natin like the PFMAT, andyan po ang SGLG, the CBMS. So makakatulong po itong mga ito. And last but not the least po ang ating organizational effectiveness proposal. So dahil sa ating devolution, magkakaroon din po ng movement yan sa ating both NGAs and the LGUs. So now on the part of the LGU DTPs, so ano po ba ang dapat content nito? So dapat ang ating LGUs, magprepare po sila ng kanilang DTPs in coordination with the concerned NGAs po. So this orientation only has invited 5, pero po it is encouraged na kung kayo po ang ating mga LGUs ay nabibitin or nakukulangan po sa mga speakers na mag-share po ng kanilang initial DTPs, it is advised na you should coordinate also with the other NGAs like DOLE, andyan po ang mga NIA and also mga POPCOM, andyan din po sila. Then also, the LGU DTPs will serve as a guide on the monitoring po and performance assessment of the LGUs by the NGAs concerned and also the DBM and DIFG. So, ito pong LGU DTP ang magiging libro po ng aming mga NGAs para kung makapag-monitor kami and ma-assess po ang performance po ng ating LGUs dito po sa ating transition. And then next, as mentioned po, magkakaroon din po tayo ng Devolution Transition Committee para on the part po ng ating LGUs. So, for provinces, cities, and municipalities, it should be composed of the local chief executive as the chairperson, a regular member of the local sanggunian, and also the members of the local finance committee, and dyan po si planning, si treasury, and si budget po. Also, dapat kasama rin po ang ating local administrator, ang ating president of the Liga ng mga barangays, and also representatives from the civil society organizations or people's organization that are members po ng ating local development council. So on the part of the barangays naman po, they should also have a devolution transition committee composed of the punong barangay as the chairperson. Kasama rin po niya ang ating barangay secretary and barangay treasurer and also a regular member of the sangguniang barangay. So mas maliit lamang po ang composition ng ating barangay due to their size na rin po. And then next, so as mentioned po kanina, magkakaroon po tayo ng Committee on Devolution or ang patawagin po natin COMDEV. So ang ating COMDEV shall be composed of the following members. So ang magiging chairperson po nito is ang Secretary of the DBM. Then as co-chair po ang Secretary of DILG and kanyang kasama po as members ang ating Executive Secretary po ng NEDA and also ng ating Department of Finance. So kasama rin po nila sa committee ay ang mga presidents po ng League of Provinces, Cities, Municipalities of the Philippines, also the Liga ng mga Barangay sa Pilipinas, and also the Union of Local Authorities of the Philippines. So ang magsisilbi pong secretariat po sa ating COMDEV will be the DBM. So ang COMDEV shall designate a senior official to act as their permanent representative and shall be responsible for overseeing the overall efforts on the implementation po ng ating executive order. So on the regional subcommittee on devolution, so ito po on the regional side, magkakaroon po tayo ng members as the RD of Budget and Management as the chairperson. So ang co-chair din po natin is ang regional director po ng DILG and kasama po ng ating mga regional director from DBM and DILG, ang RDs ng NEDA, ng ating BLGF, and ng mga ROs, regional offices ng NGAs concerned, and also ang ating representatives from the LGU leagues as also the members. So as mentioned kanina, ang magiging secretariat po sa ating regional COMDEV is ang DBM. So now, pasadahan lang po natin kung ano-ano po ba yung mga functions ng ating COMDEV. So first, they will oversee and monitor the implementation of administrative and fiscal decentralization goals. So sila rin po ang responsible sa evaluation ng status and monitor the implementation of the devolution transition plans and ensure compliance po ng ating mga officials. Then third, so ito na po ang pinakamahalagang role ng ating COMDEV kung meron pong issues and concerns na may arise po sa implementation po ng ating EO 138. And then we also have the COMDEV to ensure the elimination of any irregularity or fiscal controls on the automatic release of LGU shares on national taxes. And they shall also adopt mechanisms to ensure continuous delivery of public services during transition period to full devolution. So ito pong EO 138, hindi po ito rason para mag-stop po ang operations ng NGAs and DTPs. So kailangan pong bantayan ng ating COMDEV na dapat tuloy-tuloy pa rin po ang public services natin to our constituents. Then next, the COMDEV to also develop a strong communications plan and pursue strategies to effectively inform the public. So dito na po papasok si PIA, andito rin po ang mga PCOO na kasama po natin sa implementation po ng ating communications plan. Then also the COMDEV is expected to issue rules and regulations for the effective implementation of the EO. So meron na po tayong IRR which was issued last July lang po ng EO 138. Then also, the COMDEV is expected to submit to the Office of the President an annual report sa implementation po ng ating executive order. So balik, on the span of fiscal year 2022 hanggang 2024 po itong transition period po natin. And last but not the least, the COMDEV should call on any relevant office of the executive branch for the fulfillment of functions and ensure convergence on the devolution program. And next, so ito na po ang sinasabi natin, ang establishment of growth equity fund. So I believe bago rin po sa ating lahat ito. So the growth equity fund shall be established starting FY 2022 to address problem of marginalization, unequal development, and high poverty incidence across different LGUs. So the amount constituting the Growth Equity Fund shall be included po ng DBM sa ating National Expenditure Program starting fiscal year 2022 na po, and thereafter to cover po ang funding requirements ng programs, projects, and activities of poor, disadvantaged, and lagging LGUs so that they can gradually enable the full and efficient implementation of the functions and services devolved to them. So next, on the part of the capacity development for LGUs, so ang ating capacity development agenda for LGUs will be formulated based po sa DILG Local Government Academy Assessment Framework and guided by the strategies identified po ng ating NGAs, local development trusts, and performance goals and objectives. So kasama po natin sa ating CAPDEV ang ating Local Government Academy, andyan din po ang Development Academy of the Philippines, and ang ating BLGF. So ang role po ng ating LGA is they shall harmonize and oversee provision of needed capacity development interventions. So sila po ang lead po sa ating CAPDEV. Then on the role of the DAP, they shall strengthen the capabilities of the local chief executive natin, being the head po ng ating Development Transition Committee. And last but not the least po, ang ating BLGF shall conduct programs regarding revenue generation and fiscal management. So, nung nakaraan pong mga trainings namin, nalaman po natin na ang ibang LGUs po dito sa Region 1 ay very IRA-dependent, ika nga nila. Kumbaga, parang nabubuhay lang po sila or nakakapagpatakbo lang po sila ng operation ng LGU dahil may IRA. So it is encouraged po na dapat maghanap din po ng ibang revenue sources ang ating mga LGU through the help po or assistance ng ating BLGF. And then next, ang mga roles po ng LGUs is the preparation po ayan ng ating devolution transition plan, and they should also come up with the capacity development agenda. So kailangan po natin ng updating ito based po sa ating updated na PTP, and also the development of communications plan and strategy. And then also for the strengthening planning, investment programming, and budgeting linkage and monitoring and evaluation systems. So the vertical and horizontal linkages across different levels of government in developing and development planning, investment programming, and budgeting should be strengthened po sa ating full devolution. So also, the results-based monitoring and evaluation system shall be in place and strengthened also to ensure purposive conduct of evaluations in the performance and delivery of functions and services. And then next, so ito na po, as mentioned kanina sa ating salient features, meron pong three options ang ating mga affected personnel, namely, the transfer to other units within the same agency. So pwede pong lumipat ang isang empleyado sa separate section or sa separate division ng kanyang agency na kinabibilangan as of now. Then also, he or she may choose to transfer to other agencies within the executive branch. So for example, siya po ay nasa DOH, pwedeng lumipat po siya sa ating mga DOH hospitals na inaalalayan po. And last but not the least, pwede rin po siyang mag-retire o mag-separate from the service. And also, kung gusto niya po pong magtrabaho, the employee is also given preference to vacant positions in LGUs, provided po na mayroon pa rin pong discretion ng LGUs kung tatanggapin po ba nila itong mga empleyado na ito. And then, what are the next steps or what are the ways forward na po after nitong ating EO 138? So andyan po, na-create na po ang ating IRR for the said EO. Noong July po, na-release po sa ating DBM website. Also, the conduct of inception workshops with LGU. So ito po ang pinakamahalaga sa ating rollout, ang magkaroon po tayo ng workshop. So hindi pa po siya today. So ito lang po ay orientation. And then we also have the preparation and submission of transition plans of NGAs and LGUs. Ito po yung mga pinag-uusapan natin na 120 days. Then also we have the implementation of communications plan and strategy. Also the development of framework for performance assessment of devolved functions, the strengthening capacities of NGAs on monitoring and coaching functions, and also the capacity building activities for LGUs through the Local Government Academy, the Development Academy of the Philippines, the BLGF, and also the NGAs concerned. So with that, I am ending already my presentation, and thank you for listening.
Maraming salamat, Ma'am Krista, para sa iyong napakalinaw na presentasyon po ng ating EO 138. Ayan po. So, before we proceed to the next topic, meron lamang pong i-present ang ating focal person. Okay, meron po tayong ipa-flash sa screen, and announcement lamang po sa mga nagme-message sa ating chat box regarding the presentations na isend sa kanila. Huwag po kayong mag-alala. At ang presentations po natin para sa araw na ito ay ma-share po sa inyong lahat. Yan. Para at least maiwasan lang natin yung pag-pop up ng mga messages on screen. Okay, eto po ang ating mangyayari. Ano po, para ma-imagine lang po natin, saan po ba tayo patungo? Parang ito yung ating framework or roadmap towards the full implementation of our SC ruling on Mandanas Garcia. So regional orientation, we have 3 sessions. Under session 1, andyan po ang ating SC ruling on Mandanas Garcia petition and Executive Order 138. Session 2. Ayan, sige po. Ulitin lang po natin yung na-mention kanina na mga topics natin. Okay, so nandito pa rin tayo ngayon sa session 1. So katatapos natin Executive Order 138. Ngayon naman po, hayaan nyo akong i-present po sa inyo ang ating next topic, ang ating Communications Plan Strategy, the Key Messaging and Branding. Sir Marlden, yung ating pong presentation. So as of the moment, ilan na po ba yung ating participants on board? 962 at marami na rin pong nanonood sa ating Facebook Live. So inaanyayahan po namin lahat ng mga nakikinig ngayon, invite po natin lahat ng mga kakilala natin sa LGUs dahil maraming magagandang topic. Like after this topic, meron po tayong discussion also on the CapDev agenda. Ayan po. Okay. So ito nga po, na-mention kanina ni Ma'am Krista na meron tayong Committee on Devolution na pinangungunahan po ng DBM. And per Section 7 po ng ating EO 138, isa sa mga functions po ng ating ComDev is to come up with a communications plan, a strong communications plan para po ma-inform ang ating public, ayan, as well as other stakeholders kung ano po ang kanilang mga magiging functions and part dito sa programang ito. So na-mention na din kanina po, next slide please, ang composition ng ating ComDev. So dito po, the DBM led the Interagency Technical Working Group for the Mandanas Communication Campaign, of course in partnership with DILG, the Presidential Communications Operations Office, or PCOO, and the United States Agency for International Development, DELIVER project. So bakit nga po ba natin kailangan ang communications? Why do we need communications? So ang ating objective dito, of course, lagi naman in all program, hindi lang naman sa Mandanas, kapag tayo ay nag-i-start ng mga programa sa national po, ni-start natin yan para madagdagan po yung awareness ng ating mga kababayan, ng mga LGUs, NGAs, and civil organizations sa magiging effect ng program. So specifically dito, ano yung kailangan natin i-inform sila ano magiging effect ng SC ruling na ito. And then we will encourage all those involved to play their respective roles as well on the implementation, as this will take effect already in 2021. So the communications campaign will be comprised of series of activities that will communicate, of course, the implementation of the ruling. So naglabas po ng department order ang DILG under DO number 2020-609 dated November 23, 2020. And yun nga, parang ganun din sa na-mention po natin na objective kanina. Ano po? So ito lang medyo talagang finormalize ang ating objectives for the communication ng ating program. So number 1 is to increase public awareness on the implementation of the SC ruling on Mandanas Garcia petitions and its implications, full devolution, and meaningful local autonomy, and to ensure community engagement and participation in ensuring full devolution. So sino po ang ating audience dito? Sino ang ating mga kakausapin regarding sa program na to? Dalawa po kasi yan. Ano po? Ang target po ng DILG ay ang internal and external audience. Of course, our internal audience will be the DILG personnel. Bakit po? So syempre po, ang DILG kailangan po, alam naman natin, minsan tinatawag po na parang lahat na lang, no, po, DILG. So kailangan yung mga kasama po natin sa DILG, equipped sila or informed sila ano bang programa na to para makatulong po tayo sa ating mga local government or kahit sa mga kaibigan, kakilala natin na nagtatanong po sa atin, at least lahat po tayo sa DILG, alam natin yung sinasabi natin pag tinanong tayo on Mandanas. And also we have our external audience. So ito po ang ating external audience. Nandiyan ang ating local government units, our national government agencies, our CSOs, public information officers, stakeholders and other partners, and of course, the general public. So the department will encourage and urge Filipino citizens to do their part in participatory governance to ensure accountability and transparency amid the Mandanas implementation. Ano po yung mensahe na next slide please, na gusto nating ipaalam sa lahat? Kailangan meron tayong, sabi nila, kailangan may iisang mensahe tayo. Kailangan pare-pareho po yung sinasabi natin sa madla. So ito po yung ating magiging message. Dagdag na pondo para sa mas mahusay na serbisyong lokal. So yan po ang ating magiging tagline, dagdag na pondo para sa mas mahusay na serbisyong lokal. Gagamitin po natin to hindi lang sa DILG, kahit po sa mga LGUs natin, national government, especially po ito is, later on may ipapakita po kaming video na teaser, ito po ay gawa ng USAID. Pinagtulong-tulungan po nila to para may mga gamitin po tayong materials para sa ating information campaign. So kapani-paniwala daw po ba ito? Why is this believable? Yung ating, next please, slogan. So una, the DILG personnel being well-versed in all affairs concerning local governance understand firsthand that the increased fiscal capacity of LGUs will allow better services to be delivered to Filipinos. And the general public, who are all under a particular LGU, are cognizant that their respective LGU handles a wide range of services that are relevant and beneficial to them. They will be the first point of contact of the increase in budget, as all public funds are appropriately allotted towards a particular benefit to Filipinos. Yan. So, paano natin i-communicate? I think in May, nung nagkaroon po ng survey ang ating Public Affairs and Communication Service, wherein lahat ng may mga respondents tayo, entire the Philippines, mga LCEs, from mga piling LCEs, from the different places, regions in the Philippines, at nakita nila ano yung mga effective talaga po na pag-communicate nowadays. So number one pa rin dyan kasi talaga ngayon ang ating social media or ang ating internet. Tapos po nandyan ang ating radio and TV. Number one ngayon ang GMA sa kanilang sa survey na kinonduct po nila. So ang ating medium of communications, campaign may include but are not limited to the IEC materials like primers, brochures, pamphlets, or flyers. Kasi syempre may mga lugar po na hindi pa rin naaabutan ng internet or technology. Number two, the two audiovisual presentations, AVPs on AVP for internal DILG family, AVP on general public's role in participatory governance, accountability, and transparency. And then we have TV, radio program, social media boosting, researches, capacity building, and advocacy activities. So kung may mga iba po kayong naiisip pa na medium of communication, pwedeng-pwede po yun. Basta po, pare-pareho tayo ng messages. Okay. For our messages, andito po ang ating indicative overall reference objective. So our objective is to ensure continuity and sustainability in the provision of services to the public by laying out responsibilities corresponding to the additional resources which have which have to be absorbed by LGUs, while at the same time strengthening the capacity of the concerned NGAs to guide, capacitate, monitor, and assess the local government's exercise of power and autonomy as espoused in the 1991 Local Government Code. Next, please. Nababasa po ba? Ito, meron po tayong colorful na mga letra dyan. 3 core messages po. At ito po ay sinusuportahan ng mga mandatory elements or mga guidelines po. Kung nakikita niyo po yung blue, yan yung core message 1. Basahin ko lang po kasi hindi readable po sa screen nyo. So core message 1, the Supreme Court ruling on Mandanas-Garcia petitions is another milestone in the continuing journey towards genuine local autonomy and empowerment. The ruling clarifies the basis for the computation of LGU shares and therefore strengthens fiscal decentralization. So yun po yung ating unang core message. Kasama po dito ang supporting guidelines. Yan. Kung makikita nyo, meron isang parang, anong tawag niya sa box po na yan. SC ruling is in line with the declared policy of the state on decentralization. Okay po. So, andyan, yan, ang ating core message 1. Sa core message 2 naman, ang sabi po, the implementation of the SC ruling will pave the way to systematic alignment, harmonization, and complementation of national government and local government priorities that will result to meaningful autonomy for LGUs. So, further explanation pa dito sa core message 2, the national government can focus on macro and strategic priorities to address persisting development issues. Should the national government agencies and local government agencies require assistance in transitioning into their roles, help is available. Provincial governments can play a strategic role in service delivery by exercising leadership over component local governments within their jurisdiction, performing oversight functions, and providing convergence mechanisms at the provincial level. And the national agencies can concentrate on setting standards and further enhancing the capacity of local governments. So that is for core message 2. And for core message 3, beginning 2022, saan na siya? Local governments will have the fiscal resources to provide better services and improved local governance to their accounts. Sabi, the public can benefit more from better services from their local governments responsive to their needs, to performance standards and continuous improvement. With full devolution, civil society engagement is all the more needed, complementing the work of local governments and ensuring transparency, accountability, responsiveness, and participation in local governance. So ito po. Next slide, please. Mababasa, hindi pa rin mabasa. So yan po ang ating 3 core messages. Aside, ayan, sa core message number 1 nga po, yan, papasok ulit dyan ang ating tagline, na dagdag na pondo para sa mas mahusay na serbisyong lokal. Next slide, please. Makikita niyo po, pwede po natin gamitin to sa mga IEC materials natin. Ganon din sa ating core message 2. Next slide, please. And for core message 3, andito rin po ang isa pang tagline, angat lokal, angat serbisyo. So yan po ang para sa external audience natin, yung 3 core messages. Now we move to the next slide. Ang ating core message naman po for our DILG personnel, The DILG has a pivotal role in preparing and capacitating LGUs to embrace new and emerging challenges in their continuing journey towards local autonomy. In keeping with decentralization mandated by the Local Government Code, the role of DILG personnel is to set national policy and service delivery standards to assist, oversee, and monitor LGUs. Ang ating tagline, mga kasamahan sa DILG, matino, mahusay at maaasahang kagawaran para sa mas maunlad at mapagkalingang mga pamahalaang lokal. Po. Ang ating brand ambassador po ay of course ang ating kauna-unahang interior kalihim ng interior ng lokal na pamahalaan, si ating late Hero Andres Bonifacio with the KKK, Kaunlaran, Kaayusan at Kapakanan ng lokal na pamahalaan para sa mamamayan. Ayan po. So meron po kaming ipapakita ngayon sa inyo ang ating teaser, ang campaign brand teaser video na ginawa po ng USAID. Ipapalabas po natin, ipa-play natin. Sa next slide please, paki-play.
Angat, lakas, lokal. Dagdag pondo, angat serbisyo. Kasama all. Hashtag kasama all.
Ayan, hashtag kasama all para wala na yung sentiment nating sana all. So the teaser uses the following core visual elements. Next, please. The colorful Filipino hand-woven textile habi and mat called banig, which specifically demonstrates Filipino diversity that complement each other. Next, the dynamic blocks, pixels, and puzzle pieces. From this, we draw the movable stripes and blocks in the animation and logo that also mimics the form of pixels, utilizing the color of the Philippine flag. Each block represents each social actor, the national government and local government units as key institutions, and the public. As a pixel or a puzzle piece constitute an image so as each social actor plays a critical role in the big picture initiative of nation building for a better Philippines. Next. Finally, we have the Balanghay journeying through the waves with its people rowing aligned with each other. This signifies the importance of unity and harmonization. Pagiging magkaagapay is specifically of both the national and local governments in synchronizing their actions towards achieving a unified vision for better Philippines, where access to public services such as livelihood, healthcare, and infrastructure are made available to every Filipino, as illustrated in the teaser. And attribution, pantayong pananaw, us, we perspective is a historiography approach introduced and developed by Dr. Salazar in 1974 that refers to bagong kasaysayan Pagsasakasaysayang Pilipino, the rewriting of Philippine history through our self-determining lens. Historically, balanghay or balangay refers to the traditional boats used by our early Austronesian ancestors for trade and journey to establish new communities. Balanghay is the origin of the word barangay, the smallest unit of government. For Angat Lakas Lokal, dagdag pondo, angat serbisyo, kasama all or hashtag kasama all. The campaign's proposed title, Angat Lakas Lokal, encapsulates the message that largely centers on advancing capacities of local government units as frontliners in public service delivery. The teaser ends with the proposed tagline, Dagdag Pondo, Angat Serbisyo, Kasama All, an overarching message that communicates the gist of the opportunity presented by the Mandanas-Garcia SC ruling. The additional funds that further strengthens LGU's fiscal autonomy for improved service delivery to the people to ensure that no one is left behind. Kasama All. Hashtag Kasama All is the campaign call to action that emphasizes unity, harmonization, and alignment in the endeavor. This also aims to make the campaign a resounding expression that affirms the Sana All sentiment of every LGU and everyone in realizing and experiencing progress in all parts of the country. Practically, hashtag Kasama All will help improve the visibility, engagement, and campaign recall of Angat Lakas Lokal to the public sphere of social media across all age segments in the internet and meme era of meaning making. Yan, so tandaan po natin ang hashtag kasama all. So I think that ends po the presentation for the communications strategy and key messaging. Thank you very much po.
Okay, so maraming salamat Ma'am Alet. So nakita po natin yung session 1 po na na-discuss po earlier, the SC ruling on Mandanas Garcia petition and Executive Order number 138. So sinabi po ni Ma'am Krishna na the SC ruling on Mandanas and Garcia petitions resulted to the increase po ng ating local share po ng ating local government units sa national taxes. Kasi noon nasa era lang po binabase yung share po ng ating local government units. Pero ngayon, because of the Mandanas ruling, binabase na po natin sa national taxes, hindi lang po sa internal revenue na nakokolekta po ng ating BIR. Which means to say, no, tataas talaga yung national tax allotment or nata ng ating local government units starting 2022. Now, this increase in the share of local government units resulted also to the decrease po ng national government budget. So, the reason why meron pa tayong tinatawag na full devolution. Now, the full devolution is yung guidelines po is laid down when the President issued Executive Order number 138. Okay. So the communications plan strategy was presented by Ma'am Alet. So nakita po natin yung messaging, key branding and messaging po na gagamitin natin starting 2022. So as per section 7 po ng Executive Order number 138, yung function po ng DevCom or the Devolution Committee is to develop a strong communication plan and pursue strategies to effectively inform the public as well as other stakeholders on the delineation of the functions between national government agencies and the LGUs and their respective accountabilities. So nakita po natin yung key messaging po ng communication plan. dagdag na pondo para sa mahusay na serbisyong lokal. So again, the executive order po 138, which laid down the foundation of the full devolution, means that the national government will absorb yung mga i-devolve po ng ating national government agencies. So ang gagawin po natin next is to paano natin ika-capacitate yung ating local government units to even implement itong mga i-devolve po ng ating national government agencies. So next will be the capacity development agenda process. So dito po natin paangitin o palalakasin yung capacity ng ating local government units to fully assume those devolved basic services and facilities enumerated under Section 17 of the Local Government Code. So to discuss the capacity development agenda process, so nandito po ang aming isa sa mga cream of the crop na national trainer po with regards sa capacity development agenda process. So I want to introduce to you Ma'am Lilian O. Colisao, CLGO, current CLGO po ng San Fernando City, La Union.
Maraming salamat, Kuya Mike. Kuya Mike Enriquez. Isa lamang po akong regional coach. No? Hindi po ako isang national coach for the capacity development agenda formulation. But before I go into the discussion, gusto ko lamang pong i-greet ang lahat ng isang sana maulan, no? Pero hindi na po maulan, maganda na po ang ating panahon. Good morning to each and everyone, to our Regional Director of the DILG, to our participants na nasa virtual ngayon at sa ating FB, sa Zoom, and to all the partners of the DILG when it comes to the implementation of the full devolution. I would be discussing with you the topic, taking a closer look at the context of capacity development agenda formulation. Saan natin isi-situate ang capacity development agenda sa mga naunang usapin? Bakit kailangan ng capacity development agenda? Baka sa panahong ito ay mas ma-appreciate natin, mas ma-acknowledge na natin na ang capacity development agenda ay hindi na lamang siya attachment sa ating ELA or sa ating CDP or isang dokumento na kailangan nating i-file, no, at antayin ulit na i-assess or antayin ulit na magkaroon ng SGLG at tanungin, may capacity development agenda po ba ang inyong lokal na pamahalaan? Baka naman it is also time or high time for us to acknowledge that capacity development agenda is a discipline. That as long as there is the planning process of the local government units, meron at meron ang capacity development agenda. Next slide, please. The previous slide. Saan tayo magsisimula when it comes to the discussion, no? Umpisahan natin sa visionary, to the man who said that no administration can accelerate the pace of development of the country kung walang substantial transfer or devolution of power from the central government to the local government ng Pilipinas. Siya po si dating Senador Nene Pimentel, ang ama ng Local Government Code. siya yung nagsabi at nagpanukala na ang mga lokal na pamahalaan ay dapat mabigyan ng karampatang otoridad, karampatang authority or power para gawin ang dapat na gawin sa kanilang mga lokal na pamahalaan. So from the local government code, which we recognize as a shift, no, in local governance, ngayon nai-experience o mai-experience ulit natin ang isa pang shift in governance specifically for our local government units, which is the next slide, please. Kakailanganin nyo ba yung aking ano? O habang kayo ay inaantay natin, ito naman ang issue talaga natin or concern, challenge natin when it comes to doing virtual training. We experience technical difficulties, but as we wait na ang pag-ikot ng ating pwede po muna kayong magkape. Pwede po muna kayong kumuha, tumayo, mag-stretch ng konti because yung ating mga naging diskusyon, mga naunang naging diskusyon ay kailangan nating namnamin, no? Kailangan nating i-digest habang inaantay natin na maayos yung ating technical issues. May we declare a 3-minute break, ma'am? Para po maayos yung ating presentation.
Yes, ma'am. Nga pala, sa mga topics po na na-discuss kanina, baka meron na kayong mga questions po. So again, we would like to remind everybody to please type your questions sa ating chat box para i-consolidate po yan ng ating secretariat. And later on, pag natapos po natin lahat ng ating mga sessions, ay sasagutin po yan ng ating mga resources speakers. So maaari po tayong magkaroon ng 2 minutes na wee break, coffee break, habang hinihintay po natin ang presentation po na ma-flash sa screen. Ayan po, we have 988 on board sa ating Zoom. 12 na lang para ma-hit natin ang 1,000. At sa ating Facebook Live, marami na rin po tayong mga nanonood. 243 watching us via Facebook Live. So sa kasalukuyan po para sa mga kakarating lang siguro or kaka-break or ano po ang ating topic po ngayon ay ang ating CapDev agenda process at ang ating resources speaker po ay ang ating nakalagin. Kasama po natin si Ma'am Lilian Colisao, ang CLGOO po ng City of San Fernando. Siya po ang ating regional coach for CapDev. One of the regional coaches po. Siya rin po ang ating in charge sa Safety Seal program. So sabi ko nga po sa kanya kanina, ayan, okay na po ba, Ma'am Lilian? Okay po, proceed na po.
So as I was saying, from the shift of the on local governance mula sa passage ng Local Government Code of 1991, we are again experiencing another shift which is the Supreme Court ruling on the Mandanas-Garcia petition. Looking at it, sinasabi nila tataas ang resources, tataas ang pondo ng ating mga lokal na pamahalaan. But if you're going to look deeper, sinasabi natin na ang Mandanas ruling ang magbibigay ng expectation sa mga lokal na pamahalaan na dapat may kapasidad sila to perform their functions, their responsibilities efficiently and effectively. So the SC ruling on the Mandanas-Garcia petition, sinasabi na natin na much would be given to our local government units, then definitely much would be required from you. And in order for the national government to mitigate the effect of the Mandanas-Garcia ruling, ang mangyayari or ang naisip na strategy for this is what we are now talking about, the full devolution. Next slide. So full devolution serves as the measure to mitigate the fiscal impact of the Mandanas-Garcia ruling. Ito po kasi yung mga ginagamit ng mga national government units natin, previous slide pa rin kuya, yung mga ginagamit ng mga national government agencies na pondo, bababa na po sa mga lokal na pamahalaan. Baka sabihin nyo sa amin, ginagawa naman na namin yung serbisyo. Yung Section 17 ng Local Government Code ay ginagawa na, pinapractice na, ini-implement na ng mga local government units when the Local Government Code was passed. True, totoo po yun. However, the services were devolved to you, but the resources were not. Kaya ang lagi niyong sinasabi sa amin, kulang yung pondo, ang dami naming ginagawa. But in this case, and with the shift or decision on the Mandanas petition, sinasabi na ng national government na sayo na ang serbisyo at ibibigay na rin namin yung pondo o karampatang resources to fulfill or to accomplish the full devolution process. So para maging buo, no, ang ating full devolution, the next slide shows na ipinasa ng ating presidente o ng Pangulo ang Executive Order 138. This document spells, no, what do we need to do in order to implement the full devolution. Kaya yung pag-umpisa ng ating diskusyon ngayong umaga, nag-umpisa sa Executive Order number 138. Next slide, please. Nasabi na rin to kanina, di po ba? One of the salient features of the Executive Order 138 is the capacity development for local government units. This is provided for under Section 9 and 10 of the Executive Order. Sinasabi niya na ang Department of the Interior and Local Government, through its training arm, the Local Government Academy, ay kailangang mag-provide, no? It has to oversee the provision of capacity development to the local government units. And at the same time, the LGA has to harmonize these capacity interventions. Ibig sabihin, hindi kalat ang pagbibigay ng capacity development interventions. Hindi pwedeng isang general CapDev intervention para sa lahat ng local government units. It's no longer that way. So, pinuprovide ni 138, iha-harmonize natin to. aayusin natin to. At magkakaroon tayo ng mekanismo and how to go about it. And this is through the local governance resource centers of the DILG. Hindi po siya isang pasilidad. Hindi lang po siya isang building na magbibigay sa inyo ng intervention o magkakaroon ng a platform for the convergence or provision of capacity development interventions. LGRRC is a structure kung saan there is a collaborative effort among national government agencies, institutions, the academe, the civil society organizations who are going to provide the services, the capacity development services that local government units. So this is the convergence platform of the DILG that we are going to use in order to complete yung mandato namin na kailangan magbigay kami ng capacity development intervention sa mga lokal na pamahalaan. Ano yung gagawin ng local government units na sinasabi nga ng 138? Gumawa, mag-formulate ng capacity development agenda. O isa na namang dokumento to. But what we are saying now is more than a document, more than an attachment to your devolution transition plan and to your annual budget. The capacity development agenda now will be working within the framework and the guidelines na ibababa o ibinaba na, next slide please, ng local, ng DILG, which is yung ating DILG Memorandum Circular number 2021-06. Ito po ay ibinaba o dinisseminate sa inyo noong June 23, 2021 by the DILG. I am sure our local government units has already a copy of this memorandum circular. And this is our basic document in the preparation of our capacity development agenda. Next slide, please. Kanina pa natin to pinag-uusapan, pero himayin lang natin. So capacity development is a process by which individual competencies and institutional capacities are enhanced through strategic and integrated interventions to equip and empower LGUs to fulfill their accountabilities and produce desired results. That is capacity development to all of us. We have to have a common understanding pag ang pinag-uusapan natin ay capacity development. Kasi tayo, ay oo, nagkaroon kami ng capacity development kahapon. Ang isip natin, ang perception natin, training. Ang isip natin, pag sinabi ng capacity development, oo, nasa plano namin. Meron kaming seminar, meron kaming orientation, meron kaming workshop. That's the common perception, when we talk about capacity development. But let me just point out to you some of the components or some components of capacity development. One is, it is a process. Proseso po siya. Hindi siya one-time intervention. Hindi siya one-time, big time na pag natapos itong orientation na to, wala na kayong magiging problema, magpe-perform na kayo to your optimum. No. Capacity development takes time. And we already have our HRD. Meron na kaming human resource development plan. So that should be enough for us. Baka yun yung iniisip nyo kasi that should be enough for us na makapacitate o para mas lalong maging mahusay ang aming mga personnel sa LGU. But when we say capacity development, we are also talking not only of the individual competencies of your personnel, but we are also looking or focusing on the institutional capacities. Your institutional capacity as a local government unit. No, kailangan hindi lang mga individual ang nakakapacitate or hindi lang ang mga isang grupo o dalawang grupo o isang opisina ang ating tinitingnan when we do or when we prepare our capacity development agenda. Pero titingnan natin yung kakayahan, kapasidad ng ating lokal na pamahalaan. That's the institutional capacity. And I would like to point out also that it is strategic and it is an integrated intervention. It responds to your performance and to the fulfillment of your vision, mission, and goals. It responds or it enables you to perform for you to be able to accomplish or complete the picture that you would like to be or you would like to have as a local government unit. So that's capacity development. From the shift, no, kailangan siguro natin magkaroon tayo ng shift din sa ating mindset. Kailangan pare-pareho na maintindihan natin na ang capacity development ay hindi lamang training. Hindi lamang competency o ng skills, knowledge, and attitude ang ating kailangang i-enhance, no? O kailangang ilagay sa ating mga capacity development agenda. Next slide, please. And to further himayin itong ating tinatawag na capacity development. When we say capacity, it's the ability of the local government units to perform functions. It's our ability to perform function. While performance, next slide, please. Performance is our effectiveness. Our effectiveness to doing the mission or doing our mandate or fulfilling our vision and producing desired results. To further give you a better illustration of the difference and connection of both terms. Next slide, please. Sa susunod, kuya. Next slide. Yan. So if you're going to look in previous, you look into the slide, capacity is the means of an individual or a group of individual or a local government unit. It's their means to perform. Because performance is the result or the outputs or the impact of our capacity. So yun po yung connection ng ating kapasidad at ng ating performance. Kailangan ma-enhance yung ating kapasidad para ma-fulfill natin o magawa natin, makumpleto natin yung ating paggawa o pag-perform para ma-attain natin ang ating vision o ng ating mission, yung ating goal sa ating lokal na pamahalaan. So can we go back to the previous slide just to discuss with you the guiding principles for local government unit capacity development. Hindi ko na po ito iisa-isahin, no, na i-discuss sa inyo, but just to highlight some, no, of the principles. It's strategic. Sabi ko nga kanina, strategic siya dahil dapat nagre-responde siya sa pangangailangan ng lokal na pamahalaan para magawa niya or ma-fulfill niya yung vision, yung kinakailangan niyang gawin. It is also LGU driven and LGU owned. It would not be prepared by your field officers. It will not be prepared by a consultant. It will not be prepared by an outside source, I hope. No? Dahil ang capacity development agenda or CapDev natin dapat na-identify or dapat tayo ang gumawa, tayo ang nagmamay-ari bilang lokal na pamahalaan. Dahil may kanya-kanya tayong pangangailangan, may kanya-kanya tayong nakikitang kakulangan sa ating kapasidad para fully perform ang ating functions, no? And also, our CapDev should be tracked and assessed. Etong monitored and evaluated. Ito yung medyo kakulangan when it comes to capacity development. Meron tayong dokumento, meron tayong ginawang plano. However, we are forgetting to go back to that document and assess, monitor whether we are doing what we are supposed to be doing, and whether we are reviewing, assessing, tama ba yung na-identify natin sa dokumentong to. So, with all these principles on capacity development, kailangan alam natin kung ano at saan. Let us be guided. In the preparation of our CapDev agenda, let us be guided with these principles. So we are working next, Kuya, the following. Yeah, we are working, as I've said, on a framework, capacity development framework. Makikita nyo po na may 6 na pillars ang ating capacity development. Hindi lang yung first notion kanina na training, first notion kanina na orientation or workshop. Hindi lang po yun yung pinag-uusapan natin when it comes to capacity development. We have 6 pillars. We have structure, competency, we have knowledge and learning, we have management systems, we have the enabling policies, and we have leadership. Pag inassess natin tong 6 na pillars na ito, all of this would contribute to the achievement of our goals, to the achievement of our objectives, and ultimately to the achievement of our vision. So kung titingnan natin, next Kuya, what do we mean when we do structure? I will not dwell on this sa ating framework na and on the discussion dahil for the next months na matatapos itong regional orientation natin, I am very sure that the DILG officers all over the region, all over Region 1, would be discussing with you. Siguro may pagkaumay pa later on. Kasi ito yung pag-uusapan natin at ito yung magiging framework na sa isip-isip namin siguro kailangan pagnilay-nilayan ng local government units, kailangan arapapun nyo, kasama sa dreams, kasama sa panaginip nyo, paggabi, habang walang ginagawa, capacity development framework ang inyong nasa isip. So just to give you a background, Structure, when we talk about structure, the pillar on structure, previous Kuya, we're not yet on competency. The structure is the presence of appropriate structure with defined authority and accountability for performing necessary functions. Does it mean facilities? Does it mean a building? Does it mean a space? No. When we talk about capacity development, let us go back to our definition. It's individuals and it's also the institution. Do we have the right a technical working group? Do we have organized task forces? Do we have committees who will do the function or who will perform yung mga na-identify natin na mas strategic na programa or projects sa ating mga lokal na pamahalaan? So we are talking about people. We are talking about groups or task forces that will do or accomplish the job. So the second pillar is on competency. Dito tayo magaling. Competency, kuya. Ito yung notion natin sa pag pinag-usapan natin ang capacity development, no? Always but when we talk about competency, it's knowledge, skills, and attitudes of the structure, yung first pillar natin, or of the people who would perform the job. Magkakaroon kayo, halimbawa, magkakaroon kayo ng reorganization. Balak nyong i-reorganize ang inyong local government unit. That's one of your institutional intervention or project. The next question, if we're going to talk about the structure, do you have people who do the planning on reorganization? So kung wala, let it be responded through the structure na pillar natin. And sasabihin natin when it comes to competency, competent ba or meron bang kakayahan, may skills ba ang ating structure na yon para gawin yung ating intervention or para gawin ang inyong programa. So as I've said, competency is usually ito lang, dito natin nililimita ang capacity development. Next pillar is knowledge and learning. No? Knowledge and learning is the mechanisms for generating, analyzing, and using data and information as basis for decision-making and continuous improvement. Uulitin ko po, mekanismo para mag-generate ng data, mekanismo para mag-analyze ng data, mekanismo para gamitin ang na-generate at na-analyze nyo na data and information as basis for your decision-making or policy improvement. Dito po, when COVID came, no, nung nangyari ang COVID, medyo dito tayo nakita natin ang ating pagkukulang when it comes to knowledge and learning. Nagkaroon tayo ng gap, no, in the appreciation, in the analysis, and even using data as basis for our decision making. So when we do capacity development or when we formulate our capacity development agenda, let us ask ourselves, do we have these mechanisms? Kasi ang mga tao ngayon, nagbabago na rin po ang mga kliyente natin ngayon. Nagbabago na rin po ang ating mga constituents ngayon. Ang gusto na nilang malaman, ang gusto na nilang makita, or ang mga polisiya ba natin, ang tinatanong na nila is, may ebidensya ba tayo? Evidence-based policy making, evidence-based decision making. So that's knowledge and learning. For management and systems, the systems, processes, and procedures for managing programs. I do believe all local government units have this. Ang next na tanong is, documented po ba ito? Nakalagay po ba ito sa isang manual para kahit sino man ang pauupuin natin, sino man ang paggagawin natin, ay madali niyang maintindihan, madali niyang ma-implement, madali niyang magawa yung trabaho dahil nakadokumento, dahil naka-manual na ito at babasahin na niya. May guide na siya. So this is the management system. And even this could also form part of institutionalizing our own systems and processes. No, ipapa-approve na ba natin tong proseso natin? Like for us, no, in the city of San Fernando, we are currently preparing the manual of the city, not preparing, but we are finalizing already the manual of the city in terms of the COVID operation. So we are documenting and manualizing it already. So whoever gets to sit down to lead our COVID fight, alam na niya. Dahil nakasistema siya, hindi na lang sabi ng iba, pero mababasa na niya. The next pillar is the enabling policies. No, dito po pumapasok at significant yung role ng ating mga sanggunian. Dahil dito, sinasabi na natin na kung ano man yung nasa management system natin, baka pwede maglabas ang ating sanggunian ng isang ordinansa para ma-institutionalize ang ating proseso, ang ating sistema. The presence of policy support or program for the implementation of planning, developing, and implementing programs and projects. And last pillar of the capacity development framework is leadership. Again, let us erase the notion that when we talk about the pillar of leadership, it only specifies the local chief executive or local officials or the leader. Hindi po. Pag sinabi nating mekanismo, leadership, the pillar of leadership on capacity development, ang sinasabi po natin ay ang presensya o pagkakaroon ng mekanismo para ma-define, mabigyang kahulugan at ma-communicate, maging pag-aari ng lahat ng constituents ng local government unit, hindi lamang ng lokal na pamahalaan, ang vision at mission at values na i-identify. So having a mechanism on identifying or defining and communicating our vision and mission and values, that's leadership. So ito po yung 6 na pillars ng capacity development agenda, and 6 na pillars I would say on capacity development. So next slide. Capacity development agenda formulation process. Again, hindi ko po ulit ito i-discuss ng malawakan o ng very specific, no? Kasi this again gagawin natin pag nagawa na natin o na-accomplish na natin itong rollout na to. Next, kuya. So may plano na kayo, nagawa na ninyo. So if you look into our slide, this is your plan. It's as if a straight line, madali lang. Meron na tayong dokumento, may programa, proyekto na tayo. At yun yung goal natin. But the next slide shows that reality is malayo pa pala ang ating tatahakin at marami pa tayong challenges na bubunuin bago natin magawa ang ating plano o bago natin mabuo ang ating vision. And this is now where, next kuya. Yan. Next, this is now where our CapDev comes. no? Capacity Development Agenda is a comprehensive 3-year plan that will guide the local government units in implementing capacity development initiatives or interventions. Dati-dati, ito po ang CapDev ginagawa na natin pag nag-ELA tayo, pag nagsi-CDP tayo, dahil attachment, no? But right now, what we are espousing, the DILG is espousing, we come up with a 3-year plan. We come up with a comprehensive, strategic, and integrated capacity development plan na tutulungan tayo para magawa natin yung ating vision, para ma-perform natin to the fullest ang ating mga potentials, para ma-accomplish or ma-perform at the end of our term, at the end of every administration, may makita tayo na nagawa. So that's the capacity development agenda. Ito yung kailangan, ito yung kailangang meron o magkaroon when we have or when we organize our CapDev team, no? Ang CapDev team natin, we are recommending that it would be chaired by our mayor and with the punong barangays, department heads, and HRMOs, no? Or HRMO that we are recommending as our CapDev team. Kung gusto nyo ng mas marami, mas maigi. Because as we are saying, it's strategic and integrated. And it should have all the stakeholders that it has to have. Next, please. So naandito na tayo sa CapDev process, no? Where do we start? Since it's a process, it's a cycle, where do we start? Where do we begin? Nag-uumpisa po tayo sa stakeholders engagement, no? Ina-identify natin sino yung magiging kasama natin, ina-identify natin kung sino yung magiging partners natin. But going beyond identification, we should engage our stakeholders in the preparation of our CapDev. Hindi pwedeng wala silang partisipasyon, yung mga ma-identify nating mga stakeholders. Kailangan kasama natin sila sa pagbuo. Ang susunod na component, no, or step in the preparation of our CapDev is our assessment. I would say this is the most grueling. Ito yung may pinakamahirap, pinaka-exciting, at dapat this is where we should be most honest as a CapDev or as a local government unit. Bakit? Dito natin titignan o i-analyze ang ating performance at dito natin i-define kung saan tayo papunta. Dito rin natin i-define, titignan kung ano yung ating kapasidad at present at ano yung kinakailangan nating gawin o ano yung kinakailangan nating kapasidad para magawa ang mga kinakailangan nating gawin. So this is the area where assessment, no? As I've said, dito dapat tayo pinaka-honest bilang local government unit. Tingnan natin, sabi nga nila, dapat kasama all. No, hindi na lang iisa, hindi nilang dadalawa, pero dapat kasama all. And when we do our assessment in the process of capacity development formulation, let us all be honest. Kung hindi natin kaya, sabihin natin. Kung may kakulangan tayo, sabihin din natin. And of course, the next step would now be planning. Pagkatapos niyong i-assess, kailangan na nating magplano. At ang sinasabi natin, ang ating pagpaplano, it's term-based. No, after planning, dito rin pumapasok sa in between these steps, the planning and the implementation of the CAPDEB, it's the legalizing of the CAPDEB. Dito pumapasok ang ating sanggunian or the legislative branch of government. So after planning, we implement. And after implementing, we do the assessment. Because as part of our guiding principle, it should be assessed and it should be tracked. And we do it all over again. Kung may pangangailangan pa na hindi natin nakita, gawin natin ulit. It's a cycle na sinasabi natin. Next slide. So these are just some of the triggering questions. No? Hindi na rin natin siya masyadong i-discuss. Just browse through it. Pagnilayan natin itong mga questions natin when we do the formulation. So also with the LGU CAPDEB cycle, next slide please. Our first year, usually it starts, no? Ang sinasabi natin when we do the pag-upo ng isang administrasyon, kailangan ina-assess na niya, kasama sa ina-assess niya ay ang CAPDEB agenda na finormulate ng LGU. So hindi na lang ang mga plano, hindi na lang ang mga programa, pero kasama ang capacity assessment and planning. And that's usually half of the first year. And then we do the implementation half of the first year hanggang sa matapos ang inyong termino. And then we do the cycle all over again of assessing, preparing, and implementing, monitoring, and evaluating of the CAPDEB. We would also like to introduce to you the OCDMS, no, of the Local Government Academy. Next, Kuya. Your CAPDEB, for the information of local government units, ang ating pong CAPDEB ay aming in-upload, no, sa tinatawag na sistema ng Local Government Academy na Online Capacity Development Management System. Although at this time, I think it's still being enhanced dahil nakikita namin na nakita ng Local Government Academy na kailangang pagandahin, palakasin yung OCDMS. But it is a platform where the LGUs and service providers could access or would be able to know kung ano yung kailangang intervention ni local government unit. It's like a market, kung baga, na tinatawag, no? Ang isang service provider na CSO or academe, si San Fernando, kailangan niya yung ganitong intervention. Baka pwede kong i-offer ang aking services. So that's the OCDMS. For my last two slides, no, I would like to leave you with this. Next slide, Kuya. Sabi nga nila, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Marami pa po tayong kailangang gawin, marami pa tayong kailangang bunuin. However, there is a need for us to go in the right direction. Our single steps should go, next Kuya, in the right direction. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is the context, no, or the situation kung saan natin ilulugar ang ating capacity development agenda sa usapin ng full devolution at sa usapin ng preparation din ng ating devolution transition plans. With that, Ladies and gentlemen, maraming salamat po sa inyong pakikinig.
Ayan, maraming salamat po, Ma'am Lilian, sa yung napakalinaw po na magpapaliwanag kung ano ang capacity development. Yun nga po, ang pagkakaalam namin pag sinabing CapDev talaga training lang. So sinabi po sa atin ni Ma'am Lilian, it was emphasized that capacity development is a process. And it's not only sa ating mga individual but also on the institution or on the local government units or mga offices po natin. Ayan po. So we had just discussed the CapDev agenda process sa ating session 1. Siyempre, part din ito sa ating pag-capacitate po sa ating mga local government units. Ay tutulungan po natin sila kung paano i-prepare ang kanilang devolution transition plan. And to help us understand kung ano po yung mga kailangan natin gawin and to guide us on the different forms that will be used by the local government units in crafting their devolution transition plan, we'd like to call back once again our resources speaker from the Department of Budget and Management, si Ma'am Krista Mendoza, to present the guidelines on the preparation of devolution transition plans of local government units. Ma'am Krista?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you very much po. At ako po ay nagbabalik muli para mag-discuss naman po ng aking pangalawang discussion. So, pa-thumbs up naman po kung nakikita na po natin ang aking screen. So, yes. Yan. Nakita ko na po si RT. Okay. So, for our next discussion po, we will be having the guidelines on the preparation of the devolution transition plan of LGUs in support po sa ating full devolution. So baka nagtataka po kayo ano po ang naging basis po ng ating presentation for today. So ito po ay ang unsigned or ang draft guideline po or ang joint memorandum circular po na i-issue po ng ating Department of Budget and Management and by the Department of the Interior and Local Government. So apparently noong national orientation po natin, it was sinabi po sa amin na by the first week or second week po ng August ay maaaring ma-release na po itong official na or ang ating signed na JMC para po sa ating guidelines on the preparation of devolution transition plan. So kanina na-discuss na po ang ating CapDev agenda and ang formulation po ng ating communications plan and strategy which covered po sa ating section 10 po ng ating EO 138 which covers 3 items. Andun po ang roles of LGUs, which is the preparation of the LGU DTP, the CapDev agenda, and the communication plan and strategy. So ngayon, i-discuss na po natin ang last role po ng LGUs, which is the preparation po ng ating DTPs. Okay, so first, let us check po or tingnan po natin ano po ba ang naging rationale or ang legal basis po ng ating guidelines. So first, andito po ang ating Republic Act number 7160 or ang ating Local Government Code of 1991. Particularly, sections 2A and 3D na aking babasahin po. Sabi po sa section 2A, so the state shall provide for a more responsive and accountable local government structure instituted through a system of decentralization whereby local government shall be given more powers, authority, responsibilities, and resources. So as mentioned po kanina, ng ating counterpart sa DILG, dito po sa full devolution nagkakaroon na po tayo ng lalo pong nasa-strengthen ang capacities po ng ating mga LGU dahil mas nabibigyan na po sila ng additional resources to implement the section 17 po ng ating LGC or ang mga basic services and facilities. Then also with section 3D, and sabi po dito, the vesting of duty, responsibility, and accountability in the local government units shall be accompanied with provision for reasonably adequate resources to discharge their powers and effectively carry out their functions. So sabi po kanina ni Ma'am Ili, dahil mas malaki na po ang pondo ninyo, wala na pong rason para sabihin po natin na kulang po ang pondo namin kaya hindi po namin ma-implement ang mga functions or ang mga basic services na nakasaad po sa ating batas. And then next na ating basis is the Supreme Court ruling on the Mandanas Garcia petitions which clarified the basis for the computation of local government just shares ng ating LGUs and ordered the national government to include all collections na po ng ating national taxes as basis po sa computation ng ating LGU shares. And last but not the least po, ang ating Executive Order number 138 series of 2021 that encourages ang ating LGUs to be primarily and ultimately responsible in the implementation and the delivery of devolved functions pursuant to LGC, particularly Section 17 and other laws, which subsequently assigned new functions to LGUs. And then next, we go po sa ating 3 guiding principles. So, at dito po iikot ang ating preparation or ang ating guidelines sa ating preparation ng ating LGU DTPs. So first, ang ating local governments are reminded na sila po ang primarily responsible for providing direct service delivery to their constituencies and will assume greater responsibility and accountability in ensuring the quality of devolved services. So as mentioned po kanina ni Ma'am Lilian, hindi lang po si LCE ang responsible po sa provision po ng ating mga services sa ating constituents, kundi kasama rin po niya ating mga department heads, andyan din po ang other heads of the divisions or mga sections po sa ating LGU. Then next, so the local governments is also expected to strengthen their capacity to exercise stewardship of their increased fiscal resources. So dahil po sa ating mandanas ruling, nagkaroon po ng increased fiscal resources ang ating mga local government units. Then also, they're expected to enhance their organizational capability for service delivery since tayo po ay mag-execute o mag-implement ng additional functions and services. It is also expected na mas ma-affect po ang ating organizational structure and staffing pattern. And then also, they are expected to institute transparent, accountable, and participatory mechanisms to better achieve national and local development objectives. So sa full devolution na po ito, hindi lang po nag-iisang ating LGUs, kundi karamay po niya sa implementation. Nandyan po ang ating mga NGEs, nandyan din po ang ating mga NGOs, CSOs, and POs, and other stakeholders para po sa ating implementation ng full devolution. And last but not the least, so the LGs are encouraged to establish robust partnership with NGAs, so yan po nabanggit ko, private sector, NGOs, CSOs, public, people's organization, and academic institutions as providers of technical expertise and information, innovations, and governance models on service delivery. So, bali dito po sa last item, we all know hindi naman po lahat ng ating LGUs is have the capacity or the technical knowledge on how to implement other projects or ang ating mga additional projects to be projects and services. So maaring mag-establish po tayo ng partnership with other stakeholders para po ating ma-execute effectively and efficiently ang ating mga devolved functions. And then next, so ang ating LGU DTPs will be the LGU's roadmap po to ensure strategic perspective, systematic, and coherent actions towards their full assumption of devolved function. So ito po ay ang magsisilbing handy reference po ng ating mga LGUs in carrying out organizational strengthening efforts and the upgrading of institutional capacities in the next 3 years, which is covered by FY 2022 hanggang 2024. And also in monitoring the progress po ng ating transition towards po sa ating full assumption ng devolved responsibilities. Then next, to foster the alignment of priorities and complementation of resources. So ang LGUs po natin will be using their DTPs to influence the design of the development transition activities of the NGAs concerned, and also direct NGAs to support along the capacity requirements of the LGUs. Then third, ang ating DTPs will be used to leverage support from other governance stakeholders, including the non-government organizations, the CSOs, people's organizations, the business sector, and academic situations as the LGUs engage them for cooperative undertakings po during the devolution transition period. And last but not the least, ang ating LGU DTPs will serve as a guide in the monitoring and performance assessment po ng LGUs by the DBM, the DILG, and the NGAs concerned. So, ang gagawa po ng ating DTPs, as mentioned po kanina sa mga previous discussion, ay lahat ng LGUs, particularly ang ating mga provinces, cities, municipalities, and also in the barangay level. So, next, what are the particular guidelines or ano po ba yung mga steps on how to prepare the LGU DTPs? So, first, ating i-consider ng ating DTP preparation shall be taken in close coordination with the NGAs. So, dahil mas malaki na po yung responsibilidad or mas mapapalawig na po ang assumption ng ating mga duties and responsibilities, kailangan po natin makikoordinate sa NGAs para po ma-efficiently and effectively po natin ma-implement ang mga devolved functions. Then second, so subject to their development priorities, capacities, and resources, and with reference po sa ating mga NGA DTPs, ang ating mga LGUs ay expected to identify the functions, services, and facilities to be fully assumed, and programs and projects and activities to be devolved by the NGAs concerned. Also, they should prioritize which of these scaling up. So, bakit scaling up? Since nung 1991 po or nung sa ating LGC, hindi na po bago ang word na devolution sa atin. So, meron na po initial devolution na nangyari that time. So, ang expected na lang po is we fully assume ng ating mga local government units ang mga functions na ito. And also, the LGU shall adopt a phased approach towards full assumption of devolved responsibilities. So, hindi po ito one-time, big-time na gagawin po natin sa FY 2022, kundi pwede po natin by phasing po. Pwedeng meron po tayong may implement on 2022, meron din po tatagal na hanggang 3 years. And then next, for the full assumption of devolved functions and services, it may entail the updating of the OSSP or ang ating organizational structure and staffing pattern, and also the capacity development agenda. So bakit po kailangan ng updating ng ating OSSP? Dahil po madadagdagan na ho ang ating resources, and it is expected that we will be fully assuming the function, services, and facilities. So kailangan din po natin ng additional na manpower sa ating implementation. And also, kalaki po nito ang pag-update po natin sa OSSP ay ang pag-update din po ng ating capacity development agenda, which was previously discussed po ni Ma'am Lilian. Then next, so the LGUs should be proactively address the projected decrease in their respective FYs 2023 and 2024 national tax allotment shares due to the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic through the identification of possible revenue sources to address potential gaps. So kanina na-mention po natin. Sabi ninyo, di ba, angat po ang NTA shares ng mga LGUs on FY 2022. Bakit pagdating ng 2023 and 2024, meron po palang projected decrease? So apparently, ang magiging basis po kasi ng ating computation ng ating NTA shares will be the 2020 collections and the 2021 collections po. So ang ating 2020 is already ready. Computed na po ito ng ating BIR and the Bureau of Customs. So we all know nagkaroon po ng problem po sa ating economic sector. So it was projected po ng ating BLGF na meron pong decrease or meron po tayong nakikitang projection or decrease sa ating respective NTA shares. So with that, we have also a discussion po na ating BLGF to show or identify possible revenue sources to address potential gaps. So hindi lang po tayo aasa sa ating mga respective NTA shares. Then next, with the higher LGUs, they will perform oversight functions over component LGUs within their jurisdiction to ensure the harmonization and vertical integration of development requirements and convergence across levels of LGUs. So dapat pare-pareha po tayo ng goal and naka-align po lahat ng ating mga priorities. And then on the part of the component cities and municipalities, they shall also coordinate with the province in the development of their CapDev agenda and in the formulation of the menu of support by the provinces. This is to avoid po the duplication po ng ating mga functions and services para ho ma-achieve po natin ang optimization ng ating resources. And then next, so the cities and municipalities shall guide and support also their component barangays in the assumption of their new roles and responsibilities. So after this rollout po, it is expected na meron po tayong gagawing information dissemination or mag-echo din po ang ating mga respective PCM sa kanilang mga respective barangay levels po. And also, so ang ating local chief executive will spearhead the preparation of the LGU DTP and siya po ay mag-organize ng isang LGU Devolution Transition Committee who will be responsible for the preparation and monitoring of LGU DTP. So hindi po natatapos sa preparation lang ang role po ng ating mga DTC. So dapat po minomonitor din po natin kung na-implement po ba ang ating mga transition plans. And last but not the least, so the local sanggunian shall review and approve the LGU DTP through a sanggunian resolution. So now, we go to the components of LGU DTPs. So for this, I will be having only a rundown since madi-discuss po ito in detail ng ating next speaker, which is si Sir Julius po. So we have 6 components of LGU DTPs, namely andito po ang ating state or status po ng ating devolved functions, services, and facilities. Then second, we have the phasing of assumptions of functions, services, and facilities. Then third, we also have the capacity development agenda and the requirements. And then fourth, we have the organizational structure and staffing pattern. And fifth is the local revenue forecast and resource mobilization strategy and the performance targets for devolved functions and services. So ang applicable lamang po sa ating barangay levels is the first 3, which is the state of devolved functions, services, and facilities, the phasing of assumption of functions, services, and facilities, and the CapDev agenda only. So para sa ating mga PCMs, provinces, municipalities, and cities, we need to complete the 6 components po sa ating mga respective DTPs. Okay, so let's have a overview sa first component po. So ang ating state or status of devolved functions, services, and facilities. So this section shall stock take and provide baseline information on the devolved functions, services, and facilities already carried out vis-a-vis section 17. So ito po yung mahabang list na sa ating local government code and other existing laws to include functions and services that LGUs will fully assume with reference to LGU consultations with NJAs concerned and NJA DTPs if available. So kaya ina-encourage po natin na ang ating mga LGUs to have a close coordination po sa ating mga NGAs. And the next, we have the phasing of assumption of functions, services, and facilities. So ang section na po ito will map out the full assumption ng devolved functions, services, and facilities contingent on LGU development priorities, institutional capacity, and availability of resources. So during this, dito po sa ating component ng LGU DTP, makikita po natin na ikino-consider po ang ating LGU development priorities, ang capacity po ng LGU to implement those functions, and also kakayanin po ba ng ating pondo ang pag fully assume sa ating mga devolved functions. Then also this will indicate the phasing and timing of the implementation of these responsibilities. So tulad ng nasabi ko po kanina sa uses ng ating LGU DTPs, ito po yung magiging basis or parang roadmap po nila para po may guidance po tayo sa ating implementation. And then also, we shall also describe the scaling up and or assumption of responsibilities by LGUs in considering of the following. So una po, dapat makikita po natin ano po ba yung inventory ng devolved responsibilities that LGUs are to fully assume, including the NJA PPAs along the devolved functions and services. Also, kasama rin po dito ang ating LGUs assessment kung relevant or applicable po ba yung mga NJA PPAs na ibababa po kasama ng ating mga devolved functions and services. And also, ang ating results of consultations with higher LGUs and sectoral committees of RDCs. So next, we have the capacity develop agenda as discussed po ni Ma'am Lilian kanina. So this outlines the CAPDEP requirements to absorb, manage, and sustain the responsibilities under a fully devolved set up following po kanina ng present ni Ma'am Lilian na DILG Memorandum Circular number 2021-067, which was issued last June 23, 2021, which discussed the adoption of a CAPDEP framework in the planning, design, and implementation of CAPDEP intervention for LGUs. Also, ang section na po ito will present the result of the capacity assessment for CAPDEP agenda, which shall guide the LGUs in the updating po ng ating organizational structure and staffing pattern. Also, the LGUs shall ensure that funding for their identified CAPDEP requirements will be included po sa ating AIP and annual budget. Kasi kahit po present po siya, kung hindi po siya nakasaad sa ating AIP, hindi po ma-operationalize nito through an annual budget. And then next, we have the organizational structure and staffing pattern. So the LGUs shall review and propose modification po sa kanilang OSSP in reference po sa phase assumption of the functions, services, and facilities to be fully devolved. So ang adjustments po sa ating OSSP shall be guided by the following po. Ating section 325 po, providing limitations on the use of LGU funds, particularly po ang ating PS cap or yung PS limitation natin na either 45% or 55%, depende po sa ating income class. Then we also have the DBM Local Budget Circular number 61, which was already amended by DBM LBC number 137, which is na-issue po noong June 13, 2021. So makikita na po natin ito sa ating DBM website. And also the assignments and also the DBM Circular number 2007-6 and ang ating guide for the budget preparation po ang ating DBM Local Budget Memorandum number 82. Also, we must consider po ang existing CSC rules and regulations and other additional issuances that the DILG, DBM, or CSC may issue. And then next, we have the local revenue forecast and resource mobilization strategy. So in this section, it will LGUs should communicate the intention and measures of LGUs to unlock potential revenue sources. This is to address the fiscal gap, the possible fiscal gaps in 2023 and 2024. Ito na po, ano po ba yung mga reason bakit nasabi po nila magkakaroon ng possible decrease? Dahil magkakaroon po tayo ng increased expenditure requirements para po masuportahan natin ang local economic recovery from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic and also the LGU's full assumption po ng ating devolved responsibilities and also the anticipated decrease in the NTAs in FYs 2023 and 2024. So dito po sa portion na to, ine-encourage po ng ating NGA, ng ating national government na maghanap po ng potential local revenue sources para hindi po tayo maging NTA dependent. And then next, so the LGUs shall prepare a 3-year forecast, so covering fiscal year 2022 hanggang 2024 po for key local revenue taxes, local revenue resources, which includes andyan po ang ating mga real property taxes, andyan po ang ating mga fees and charges, and other income from our economic enterprises. And also, the LGUs shall refer to the Department of Finance BLGF Memorandum Circular number 16-2015 dated last June 19, 2015 in the preparation po ng kanilang revenue forecast and resource mobilization strategy. And last but not the least component, andito po ang ating performance targets for devolved functions and services. So ang ating LGUs shall define their performance targets for devolved responsibilities starting in FY 2022 onwards and describe their strategy to achieve these targets. So para ho ma-ensure ang alignment ng ating national government priorities and performance indicators, baseline information for performance targets shall be based on the sectoral plans of the regional or development plans, the sectoral profiles prepared po ng ating mga NGAs, and also we should have guidance from sectoral committees of the RDC. And as mentioned po kanina sa earlier discussion, we may also use existing performance assessment tools like the Seal of Good Local Governance. Andyan din po ang ating community-based monitoring system, ang ating mga LGU result matrices, ang ating citizen satisfaction indices, and system, and ang ating PFMAP or ang Public Financial Management Assessment Tool. So now we go to the LGU Devolution Transition Committee. So kanina nabanggit ko na ho ito sa presentation ko on EO 138. So let us skip na po this one. So the LGU DTP implementation and support to transition. So LGUs shall form a communications team to formulate their respective communications plans and strategies. So kanina ho na-discuss na rin po ito sa ating previous discussion na it is encouraged po and highly encouraged po na magkaroon tayo ng communications team para po communicate or mapag-alaman din po ng ating other stakeholders regarding po sa ating full devolution. And then next, the province, cities, and municipalities shall also submit to the appropriate Civil Service Commission Field Office ang kanilang approved plantilla of positions if ever applicable po kung sakasakaling meron pong modifications sa kanilang OSSP. And then next, LGUs shall ensure vertical alignment of local development priorities with regional and national priorities. Also, LGUs shall develop mechanisms to continually upgrade their services and guarantee the quality of LGU service delivery. Since this fiscal year 2022, aangat po ang ating shares ng ating mga LGUs, it is expected po na mag-continually upgrade po tayo ng ating services para ma-optimize po natin ang uses ng ating mga resources. And last, the LGUs shall set up the appropriate mechanism to collect comparable data and information on a regular basis to systematically track their performance targets. And then now let's go to the timeline and submission. So on the LGU level, for the barangay level, they are given 60 calendar days to create for their DTPs. For the cities and municipalities, they will be given 90 calendar days. And for the provinces, the highly urbanized cities and independent component cities will be given 120 calendar days. So ito po ay magre-recon po from the date of the issuance po ng ating Joint Memorandum Circular ng DBM and DILG. So ang ating DTPs will be submitted po online so that they can monitor compliance and enable access and allow sharing po. And the next, so after matapos po ng 120 calendar days, the provinces, the highly urbanized cities, and independent component cities, DTPs will be submitted to the DILG regional offices counterpart po nila for consolidation, and also they can also furnish the NGA regional offices so that they can influence NGA assistance and capacity development support. And also, they're also encouraged na mag-furnish din po ng copy sa ating mga institutional partners so that they can seek support and engage them in cooperative undertakings during po ng ating devolution transition. And on the part of the DILG regional offices and NGA regional offices, they will be submitting also to the national counterpart po ang mga na-consolidate po nilang LGU DTPs. So now let's pahapyawan lang po natin ang mga DILG roles and responsibilities. So the DILG, together with the DBM, shall oversee and monitor the preparation po and implementation ng ating LGU DTPs. So ang DILG Central Office naman po shall issue supplementary policies and institute the necessary systems and mechanisms to further guide and facilitate the implementation of devolution transition activities. So on the part naman po ng ating DILG regional offices, they shall organize the DILG DTP core team at the provincial levels that shall guide LGUs po sa ating overall preparation ng DTPs. So sila rin po ang magre-review and consolidate ng capacity development requirements of LGUs at the provincial level. They will also facilitate convergence and dialogues between LGUs and NGAs concerned, especially during the preparation po ng ating DTPs and also will ensure compliance po ng ating DTP preparation. On the other hand, through the DILG naman, through the Local Government Academy, they shall oversee the conduct of CapDev interventions for LGUs and develop the appropriate mechanism to ensure efficient, effective, and cost-effective utilization of national government resources on this effort. They shall also be the one to take the lead in the harmonization of all capacity development interventions by the DBM, NEDA, DOF, and other NGAs, the DAP, and the third-party service providers for the LGUs, and also they shall optimize the potential of the local governance, national and regional resource persons centers as the convergence platform of capacity development stakeholders. Also, I will be presenting the DBM roles and responsibilities. So at kapares po ng ating DILG, they will be monitoring and overseeing the preparation po and implementation ng LGU DTPs. They will also furnish the LGUs with budget information and policies that may help po sa kanilang preparation ng DTPs. And through the DBMROs, sila po ay magpro-provide ng LGUs with technical assistance in the preparation po ng kanilang organizational structure and staffing pattern. And now for the annexes, so makikita po natin sa ating JMC, itong Annex A hanggang Annex K. So nakalapat na po dyan ang ating mga sample sanggunian resolution up until to the performance monitoring framework. So ang ating electronic copies can be accessed to the link na nakaprovide po sa ating screen. And now to end my presentation, I will present the ways forward. So ang mangyayari po, magko-conduct po ang ating DILG ng orientation and coaching po sa ating mga LGUs. Then andyan na po ang preparation and submission po ng ating mga DTPs. Siguro by the end of by December po is tapos na po ang ating 120 calendar days. And then the implementation of the communications plan and strategy. Also the updating of framework for performance assessment. The strengthening capacities of NGAs on monitoring and coaching functions since mada-default na po ang kanilang ibang functions. And also they should be an update policies and mechanisms on the strengthening of planning, investment programming, and budgeting linkage and M&E systems. And last but not the least, the continuous capacity building for LGUs. So tulad po ng nabanggit ni Ma'am Lilian kanina, ang ating CapDev is hindi po one-time, big time. So dapat it is expected po na continuous and nagiging responsive po sa ating current situation. With that, I will be ending my discussion and thank you for listening.
Thank you again, Ma'am Krista, for your presentation and the guidelines on the preparation of devolution transition plans of local government units. So pakita lang po natin, tapos na po tayo sa session 1, yung overview on the roles of LGUs under EO 138. Ayan, so we will be moving forward to session 2. Pero kanina po, kung nakita niyo po yung guidelines, na diniscuss ni Ma'am Krista, parang dito sa susunod po na session natin, ayan, i-flash ulit natin, no? Para review lang natin ano yung mga na-discuss natin. EO 138, Communications Plan, CapDev Agenda, and yung guidelines sa preparation. So ngayon po, siguro ini-imagine nyo na ano kayang magiging itsura ng devolution transition plan. Noon kasi may mga lumalabas na mga forms, etc. na nagteteksta ng mga LGUs, ano yung gagamitin natin, ganyan-ganyan. So ito na po ang ating pinakahihintay, ang magiging itsura po ng ating devolution transition plan. Madidiscuss po yan ngayon na sa ating session 2 for the components of the LGU Devolution Transition Plan. And this will be discussed by one of our resources speakers from the DBM again. This time naman po, ang OIC Supervising Budget and Management Specialist ng DBM Region 1, none other than Sir Julius Jose M. Camara. Sir Julius, good morning.
Maraming salamat, Binibining Altea Cedo, ang ating kaibigan sa DILG Regional Office 1. Maaari ko na po bang ibahagi itong ating screen?
Maaari po, Ginoong Julius. Ayan, Tagalog na Tagalog si Sir Julius.
Ka-formal natin ngayon, ano?
Oo nga po. Ayan po.
Sandali lang po, ah.
Ayan, habang hinihintay po natin yung presentation ni Sir Julius, again, sinabi natin kanina, kung may mga katanungan po kayo, i-type nyo lang po sa ating chat box. At pagkatapos po ng presentation na to ni Sir Julius, babasahin natin yung mga katanungan bago po tayo siguro po kung may time, masagot before lunch break or after lunch break.
Ayan. Maaari ko pang malaman kung natatanaw nyo na po ba yung aking presentation.
Yes, Sir Julius, malinaw po at naririnig din namin kayo loud and clear.
Okay. So, magandang umaga po sa ating lahat at sa lahat po ng naaabot po ng tindig na ito. I understand po naka-Facebook live po tayo ngayon. So, I guess marami pong nakakarinig po nitong o nakakaantabay po dito sa ating ginagawang digital orientation. Okay, so kamusta po tayo? Ngayong ano pong nararamdaman natin ngayong ilang buwan na lang, no? Matatapos na itong taong 2021 and aapak na tayo sa panibagong taon, 2022, yung ating pinakahihintay, di ba? Yung ating transition year ng ating full devolution. Okay, so ano po ba itong kakaharapin po natin? Handa na po ba tayo para harapin po ito? Ano? Kung maaari ko lamang pong gamitin yung termino po ng ating regional director during our initial dialogues with the LGU during our consultation, binanggit po niya that we are facing a beautiful mess. No, bakit niya nga ba sinabi na beautiful mess? Sa Tagalog, kung tatagalogin po natin yan, nakaharap po tayo sa isang magandang kaguluhan. No? Bakit sinabi magandang kaguluhan? Magulo siya pero maganda. Okay. So magulo po siya in a sense that napaka-komplikado po kasi itong ating devolution process. Kung mapapansin po natin, napakaraming dialogues na po yung ginagawa natin, napakaraming proseso na po, marami pong involved na ahensya at mga lokal na pamahalaan po dito na nagbibigay po ng iba't ibang ideya. So nakakaroon po ng, in a sense, parang ang gulo, no? Ang dami pong mga forms and templates at mga plano pong gagawin. Pero kung titignan po natin sa kabilang banda, ba't po natin tinawag na maganda? Ito po isang magandang bagay na nangyari po sa ating lokal na pamahalaan na kung saan ito po isang magandang oportunidad para po sa atin na iangat, no, ating palawigin ang ating mga serbisyo, ating palakasin ang ating kapasidad upang maitawid natin sa ating mga nasasakupan itong mga kalidad na serbisyo na dapat naman talaga na natatanggap po nila. Okay? So, ang aking bahagi po ay ibahagi po sa inyo itong components ng ating LGU Devolution Transition Plan. Opo, pahapyaw na po na-discuss kanina ni Ma'am Krista, ito pong mga components nito at ipapakita ko po sa inyo ngayon itong mga formularyo o mga templates po na gagamitin po natin. Okay? Okay, so magkaiba po kasi ang requirements po in the preparation of the DTP for provinces, cities, and municipalities po. Okay, and doon po sa ating mga barangays. For province, cities, and municipalities, gaya pong nabanggit kanina Ma'am Krista, we have 6 components. No? Sa unang section po, makikita po natin dyan yung state or estado po or kalagayan po ng ating mga devolved functions and services and facilities, yung ating FSF or brevity. Sa section 2 po, makikita natin yung phasing of full assumption of devolved function services and facilities. Sa pangatlong section po ng ating DTP ay makikita po natin dyan, papakita po natin dyan yung ating capacity development agenda. Sa section 4 naman po, makikita natin dyan yung posibleng or proposed changes po sa ating organizational structure. No? Yan po inaasahan po natin dyan. For section 5, again, kailangan po handa po tayo, no, sa ating mga resources. So we need to to present our local revenue forecast and resource mobilization strategy. And lastly, yung last part po ng ating DTP is the performance monitoring framework. Iyan po ay for the provinces, cities, and municipalities. Ngayon po sa barangay, na-trim down lang po ito kasi nga meron lang po silang 60 calendar days to prepare their own devolution transition plan. Meron lang po tatlong bahagi, tatlong section ito. Yun po yung ating state of devolved functions, yung phasing ng full assumption, and yung kanilang capacity development requirement. Okay, makikita po natin yan mamaya. Okay? So, sa unang section po ng ating development, ng ating devolution transition plan, okay, makikita po natin dito yung estado po ng ating or kalagayan po nitong ating mga devolved functions, services, and facilities. Okay, so this section provides the baseline information on the devolved functions, service, and facilities already being carried out by the LGU and those functions and services that LGUs have yet to fully assume vis-a-vis the Section 17 of Republic Act 7160 and other existing laws. So sa madaling salita, ito po pala ay inventaryo, no, or universe po ng lahat ng mga devolved functions and services and facilities na dapat po na ay na-devolve po sa atin. So ilalagay po natin yan sa formularyo po yan, no? And yung ating other existing laws that subsequently assign new functions to the LGUs. So yan po, ilalagay po natin dyan sa attachment 1. Okay, so nakikita niyo po sa ating screen, ito po yung, this is how it looks like, no? Meron po siyang 6 columns. Basically, madali lang po gawin yan kasi po inventaryo lang po yan ng ating mga existing functions and services and facilities as provided po under Section 17 of the Local Government Code and other existing laws. Okay? So ito po yung template to be used by the provinces, cities, and municipalities. Okay? Ito po kailangan po gawin po ito ng ating mga process owners, particularly po yung ating mga departments and offices. Kasi po sila pong nakakaalam kung ano po yung mga functions po na na-devolve na sa kanila. So ilalagay po natin dyan lahat mga devolved functions na ginagawa na po natin or hindi pa natin ginagawa, lahat po dapat nakalagay po dyan. So it serves as our universe, no? Yan. And this will be consolidated by our local planning and development coordinator. Okay? Kung mapapansin nyo po dyan, yan sa third column, kung babalikan po natin, tinatanong po dyan kung ang functions na po ba na na-devolve po sa atin ay ginagawa na po ba natin? Okay, so sasagutin po lang natin ng yes or no. Okay? So ilalagay din po natin dyan yung mga kaakibat po na programs, projects, and activities and the implementing or office or unit. Also, the staffing complement or the number of positions that is required or present. And this is